It's a fine, fine day. Sunday. Sunday.
Welcome, Gearheads. Thank you, OJ, and happy Divisional Sunday. Get all your pre-gaming done here and at blindmike.net, the one-stop shop for everything Blind Mike. On today's show, Howard cut Artie out of his life and clips. Brendan and Bryan look back. Bill Burr has gone mad. Roseanne went full Madonna. Opie slings some more nonsense quicksand. And Toe and Karl compare wall paneling. And now your host, a man with very little wall paneling, but a hell of a lot of tea.
Blind Mike ERIN!
Hey now. Was that ELECTRA? Compare wall paneling? That's a good line.
Yeah, that was all ELECTRA.
She surprises you every once in a while, that little ragamuffin.
You know.
Thank you, ELECTRA. Yes, Casey and ELECTRA are here today.
I'm sorry.
It's a Craig-free zone for the second week in a row. And
it is.
I always enjoy when Craig is here. Once in a while, a break from him is not the worst because we recorded Why Are You Laughing? It's up for members now. The rest of you will see it. This week, it's the downfall of Jimmy Kimmel, who we'll actually be talking about later in this episode. And the whole episode, I'm talking about how the reason Jimmy Kimmel has changed, it's not where he stands politically necessarily. It's about the fact that he was kind of a safe haven from a lot of that talk. If you look at like the Man Show and what he was on the radio, and then late night, it's just very serious political takes. And he gets, it's not an escape from that anymore. It's just actual commentary without any jokes. And in the middle of that, we play a clip of Jimmy Kimmel, and Craig starts screaming about the Ukraine. He's like, he doesn't get that they're funding the and I'm like, Craig, this is the exact opposite of what the whole show is about. How Kimmel's too sad. He's like, but you don't get it. And then now he's yelling at me. He's like, you don't get it. So keep an eye out for that in the Jimmy Kimmel episode.
Kragers takes Ukraine very seriously. Texts me 3 times a day about it. Every day. It's Ukraine, Ukraine, Ukraine. I'm like, Kragers, stop it.
So yes, he really got the message of that Jimmy Kimmel episode. So make sure you keep an eye out for that, watch that, and go to verygoodshow.org. Support Craig. If you want to rant about the Ukraine, go to verygoodshow.org. But here we are, folks. An action-packed week. Dave Chappelle tucked us all into bed last night. It's very nice.
Good. I thought it was good. Did you like the episode?
I didn't watch I watched his monologue in one sketch. And as SNL always is, it's like that. It is a very funny premise, and it's just like, all right, we got it. We got the. I'm 6 minutes into this thing. I get it. It's about the evacuation, but the premise is very funny. But
they do Tom Myers us a bit over at SNL. Like, give us a setup and then just leave us hanging until the commercial comes. We're like, well, I guess I'm supposed to laugh because they went to MIT or something. But yeah.
We can't play clips or anything because SNL will take my family hostage and sodomize them.
Yes.
But it is funny. Like, I love Dave Chappelle. It's just funny now that like he's not even really making an effort to do stand up. It's like he's just telling us a bedtime story to heal the nation. It's just like he's got this analogy with Jimmy Carter and calling for people, and it's like I can listen to him talk all day. He's an excellent speaker. But sometimes then you're like, oh, wait, he's a comedian. I forgot. He's not just preaching to us. He's not an actual preacher. He's supposed to be telling jokes at some point. So I love Chappelle, but Jesus, man, 17 minutes, throwing a couple jokes.
He's turned into Uncle Dave on the porch. You know, just
really
tell you a story. Pull up by the rocker here, Sonny.
Yeah, which he's amazing to listen to.
Yeah, no, it's
but
the best
it's
ever,
like,
maybe. But
It's like, this is the guy, like, Dave, I'm going to race him. Like, this is the Killing Him Softly guy.
It really makes you love, though, when you're going past the Chappelle show and it comes on and you watch it for 5 minutes and you're like, God, this is like other level shit at this point where we are now with comedy.
Katie's got some big ass titties to like, let's all get together and let's remember to be a good man. It's like, who is this guy?
And look at my goddamn arms. Aren't they big? That's a weird thing to throw in, too, just being a muscle guy now.
But yeah, shout out to Dave Chappelle, I guess. Well, it will come into play with one of our segments today. But first, go to blindmike.net, support this program if you're watching live, as you can do every Sunday at 10 a.m., except next week. No show next week. Prepare yourselves. I'm very sorry, but I will be away. So no show next week. But usually, Sundays at 10 a.m. are where you can watch this program. You also get Why You Laughing? All the links for that show are at blindmike.net, as well as Who Are These Socials. And you can become a member on Patreon or YouTube, support the show, or just support us for free. If you're watching right now, smash the old like button. Comment, subscribe, tap the notification bell, share it, tell a friend. All that stuff helps more people find the show. And we appreciate you guys supporting the program. All right.
Mm-hmm.
Where should we start today? What do you think's the best route?
Well, let's see. I think maybe starting with a little Brendan Schaub. What do you think about that?
Why not? Yeah. Let's ease into this day with the great Brendan Schaub and Bryan Callen on The Fighter and the Kid, and they have a very weird relationship with Joe Rogan and the comedy Mothership. These were like Rogan's guys, and Bryan Callen's been friends with Joe Rogan for 30 years. Like they go way back together. They're close friends, I think. Yet they talk about him like the way the way that I talk about like Shane Gillis, where it's like, I've seen him out a couple times. I don't want to bother him. Like, that's how they talk about Joe Rogan. It's crazy. They know
Paul
this
McCartney.
man very well. So Bryan Callen, I guess, recorded his comedy special at the Mothership. And I don't know. You guys tell me if you think he has yes men around him when you hear this. But it's also, there's a lot going on here. We might be watching the end of The Fighter and the Kid, the splitting up of Brendan and Bryan. You hear Brendan with very hot political takes, which is always good. So let's get into it.
This first one's called Austin.
Yeah, so like I said, Callen was drinking up Austin, and I guess he really owned the room down there.
Out of its mind.
How good did it feel for you to be around that? Because even years ago, you weren't really like, because you've been doing it so long, you weren't around the club scene.
I'm old, but now being around that, doing what I did at the Mothership.
Oh, I want to examine one thing. Brendan just said a sentence, and I almost let it pass by. I was almost like, sure, okay, that's a thing, because he completed the sentence, which is good for Brendan. But I don't know what the fuck he's talking about. He's like, you were never in the club. Was Bryan Callen such an overnight success that he wasn't at the Comedy Store in LA? I thought that's Rogan's whole thing. It's just guys hanging out at the store, man. Like, what is Brendan talking about? He's never been in comedy clubs. It's like, yeah, you really surpassed all of that. Like, Brendan just said a sentence, and everyone, including me for a minute, like, we're all just like, okay, yep, you got it. Makes no sense what he just said.
I think he just waits sometimes for Brendan to quit talking, and then
he
just start
talks.
talking.
Yeah.
And then he talks. Yeah.
Being around that, doing what I did at the Mothership, those crowds, I put a little power out
What
there.
did I text you?
Yeah.
What did I text you?
You did. You said you got to get there.
You let these motherfuckers know, dude.
Yeah.
Y'all must have forgot.
Yeah.
What's happening here? Bryan Callen went to Austin to record a special at his friend's comedy club. And they're like, you've just shocked the world, Bryan. You did the unthinkable. Filmed a special at a place 6 other people have already done it. Brian Simpson filmed one there. Doug Stanhope filmed one there he just released. Like, people are filming at the Comedy Mothership. It's not a unique thing. And also, is Bryan Callen's reputation as a comedian, as far as I know, is like, fine, whatever. Like, I don't think anyone thinks he's a great... his fans do, I'm sure. But I don't think the general public thinks he's a great comedian. I haven't heard that he's a terrible comedian. I just hear, like, whatever. And Brendan's like, you got to shut these motherfuckers up. All these people that are saying nothing about you, you better close their mouths, Bryan. There's this weird, like, Rocky running up the stairs moment that these two are having. And it's based on nothing. I don't know what they're talking about.
I feel like one of them has cancer, and they're not telling us. And this is like how they're going out. They're just talking. Oh, remember the times we did this? Don't talk about what I got. You know, it seems like
they've built a straw man. I guess maybe not a straw man, because the man they're picturing is Reddit. It's the fighter and the kids. It's the homeless cats.
Yes.
So shout out to PF Chang's, because they're having this argument with the people that hate them. That's not the people at the mothership. Like, I'm sure. Listen, comics talk shit. I've heard a lot of comics shit on Brendan Schaub. People did not have Bryan Callen's back when he got canceled. I don't think any of them were like, Bryan Callen better never show his face in all. And then the barn doors swing open. You just see the shot is just the cowboy boots walking in. Yeah, a tumbleweed blows by. Oh no, that ain't Callen, is it? He's coming in to shoot up the saloon down at the mothership. It's like, no, I think they were all hey, Bryan, how's it going? Long time no see, buddy.
Get there.
You let these motherfuckers know, dude.
Yeah.
Y'all must have forgot.
Yeah.
It pisses me off.
Yeah.
Forgot what?
No,
Bryan Callen was never like the man. He had a successful podcast for a while. He had a solid acting career. He's in a bunch of movies and TV shows. And like, I don't really know his comedy that well, but like, he had a successful run as a stand-up. Who is he shutting up? The people that think he's a rapist? Is that what we're talking about? Like, Bryan Callen was accused of something that kind of went away. I don't know a lot of the facts. I know Bryan really fought against it. It kind of went away. So maybe Bryan was right, or maybe he just spent enough money to shut these people up. I don't know a ton about it. I'm sure commenters will be experts on it. So let me know. But like, there was a time where some people thought Bryan Callen was a rapist. And people turned his back on him. Now, I've made fun of a lot of people like Whitney and Crystalia and people who distance themselves from Bryan immediately. Like, because it's weird to call this person your friend and then just like you hear something about them and you cut off all contact. You don't ask their side of the story or anything. It just proves you weren't really you were colleagues, you were business associates, acquaintances at best. So, like, yeah, it did expose a lot of those people as fake friends, fake whatever you want to call them. I guess that's who they're shutting up. But then Bryan Callen talks about what a great time he had in Austin, how cool everyone was. So I don't know who this is for. This message of shut your fucking mouths, comedy community. Bryan Callen is back.
I think it's Brendan giving him like a pep talk. This is Brendan's.
I don't know what it's for.
Who knows? Maybe he needs one because he's got cancer, Mike, or something's going on.
Like if Mike Vrabel came in and gave this speech to the Patriots now, like today, and then you have to wait till September to play a game.
Remember this thought for 6 months. All right, so you guys have fun in Cancun.
You did that. You said, show these fuckers who you are.
Yeah, dude.
Remind them.
What the fuck?
Remind them.
Y'all must have. You want to leave my boy? Y'all must have forgot.
Yeah.
He just hasn't been around the clubs like you.
Remind them how cool it would be if you were gay because you could date your friends. Show these motherfuckers the edgy comedy that you have.
Is that Callen's comedy?
It's that level.
Okay.
Well, like, again, I'm sure Bryan Callen's a fine comedian. Like, his fans seem to like him and everything. But he's not this revolutionary. Like, we just talked about Chappelle talking about social issues. And even that is a little played out at this point. But, like, Bryan Callen's never been that voice for America where you're like, oh, shit. Callen's about to touch on this subject. Everything's going to change now.
Everyone huddling around Adult Swim.
What's he going to say? The
Children's
guy,
Hospital's coming on.
the guy from The Hangover Part 1 is about to speak.
Have you ever seen Children's Hospital, Mike? The TV show?
A little. I know of it. I've seen like.
Okay. He was very good in it. Bryan Callen was like one of the stars of that show.
Yeah.
Well,
But if you want to go,
show these motherfuckers Children's Hospital.
We'll show Hollywood.
toe to toe. I don't care who you are at the Mothership, Comedy Store, Improv. You want to go toe to toe with Bryan Callen? Good fucking luck. And you're lucky because he hasn't been coming around because he's been busy dealing with other bullshit. But when he shows up, y'all must have forgotten.
Hold on, what is other bullshit? The rape accusations?
Yeah, you know.
Is that what he's talking about?
The problem time.
Yeah, I think he's just bringing this up on purpose to kind of shit on his friend. Let's remind everyone about what you were accused of.
It's a weird gassing up of a guy where it's like all that stuff is past him at this point. Like his career was derailed by it. Like Bryan Callen was canceled in a way because it did knock his. But like we're all years past that now. He's been on Rogan's show. He's been to. They've done shows in Austin where they sold 12 tickets. We covered it. They were right down the street from the Mothership, and Brendan's like, "You show these motherfuckers what's up. Show them who can sell tickets if Joe Rogan's name is on the sign outside."
I think ELECTRA hit it. I think that Brendan knows there's a finite amount of time in any of these shows, and if she keeps bringing up the rape stuff, people won't make fun of him.
I gotta say this about Brendan. I gotta say this about Brendan Schaub. He is a good friend. Like he's stuck by D'Elia and Ken. Now, you bring up D'Elia, he might be an unwise, misguided good friend. But I do think Schaub, like he's loyal. He sticks by his guys.
You know, Mark.
And I told you, you fucking remind them.
Yeah, it was
and,
good.
And
all right,
we'll figure it out.
He's
But
reminding
for
them to
what
remind
you're
him.
doing. You have to be there, Bryan. You have to be there, bud.
I think I do.
At least, I don't know if it's moving there full. I don't know, but you have to be in that zeitgeist. I don't.
Yeah.
I'm different.
Can we get you there?
I don't know. You and I can figure it out.
Yeah.
But you need to be there.
Yeah.
I think you have to, for where you're at in your career, that you deserve.
Rogan said that.
You deserve to be there.
Yeah, Rogan said that.
Because and it's no
Rogan
one's fault.
says
It's
that
not like
to literally everyone that comes on that podcast. You need to move to Austin. Of course, he's going to say it to a 30-year-long friend. Yeah, that's not a thing. It's not like, hey, Rogan said I should move to Austin. I've graduated comedy school. Like now I'm presenting at the Oscars. There's not a thing. It's not a milestone in comedy. Joe Rogan just said, hey, you should move here. He's like, this is a 60-year-old man. He's like, Joe Rogan said I was good. It's like, Joe's younger than you. What's happening? But this is a weird move where Brendan is like, maybe he's done with Fighter and the Kid because he's like, you go. It's like Harry and the Hendersons. He's like, go. We don't need you anymore. But I don't know if he's like trying to end the podcast or something because he's like, you go there and I'll stay here while the world is literally burning around me.
Him using zeitgeist is my favorite thing so far this morning. I wish they would just stop the show and be like, Brendan, what does zeitgeist mean?
Good point. Did he nail it? I got to hear that again.
He said it. I mean, what does that word even mean? So yes, he nailed it because in the bullshit.
Let me hear it
moment.
again. Let me see if he gets it right.
to be there.
Yeah.
I think you have to, for where you're at in your career, that you deserve.
Rogan said that.
You deserve to be there.
Yeah, Rogan said that.
Because and it's no one's fault. It's not like
I think it's before this fuck.
It's not a big deal. Let's keep going.
you have
we
to be
need
in
to
that
hear it.
zeitgeist.
There it is.
I don't.
Yeah.
I'm different.
Can we get you
You
there?
got it? I think you got
I
it.
don't know.
Anyway,
You and I
Brendan.
can figure it out.
Yeah.
But you need to be there.
Yeah.
I think you have to, for where you're at in your career, that you deserve.
Rogan said that.
You deserve to be there.
Yeah, Rogan said that.
Because and it's no one's fault. It's not like
Deserve to be
people
there.
are like
You just sit- they're not taking applications. I can move there if I want to. It's not a status symbol.
No, Rogan allows
Open
everyone in.
fucking Austin Ingalls moved there. You can just pick up one day and go there. He goes, you deserve to be there. It's time. It's just a city, Brendan. What are these guys doing? They're putting and I talk about this on a future Why You Laughing, the history of the Joe Rogan experience. It's not Rogan's fault that other people have put him on this pedestal. They're like, oh, Joe says I'm allowed to move to Austin. It's official. That's not Joe's fault. It's these douchebags for being like, your numbers come in, Bryan. Your time has come. You're Austin bound. They put a fucking robe on him, give him some alpha brain, and they're like, go, my friend, off to the sunset.
I'd put Joe on a pedestal because he'd be easier to see. He's very tiny.
That is true. He's a
Yeah,
diminutive
Bryan-
man.
And Callen, no, you're just not. You're
Mark Norman
out
said
of
to
sight,
my
out of
buddy.
mind.
Yeah, Mark Norman said to Nick, he goes, "It's so good to see him back." You
Mark
know?
Norman's 25 years younger than you, Bryan. He's like, I got the Norman to stay. You know what? Mark Norman walked by me and said comedy as he raised his hand. I'm officially a comedian. Like, Callen's been in like feature films and on television shows, and Mark Norman being polite to him is some badge of honor. But he's like, yeah, man, Mark Norman said I did fine. Now I've really made it. It's kind of, in a way, like, it breaks your heart a little bit because these guys are they still do some sort of numbers. Like, I'm sure they make money on that podcast. Like, it still gets, I don't know, 50, 60,000 views on YouTube. I'm sure plenty more audio downloads. So, like, they make money, yet it's not as big as it was. So in their minds, they're like, I need to make my bones in comedy again. Bryan, you're 60. You are what you are. You don't need Mark Norman to tell the world whether or not you're good, because even if he says you're good, we're all going to view it as him being polite. So none of it matters.
That cake is baked.
Yes.
Enjoy.
Yeah.
One feels that way about you, Bryan. But you're doing what you have to do right now in LA.
Yeah.
But I think for you to be in the
energy, there's so many places to perform.
You've been doing it for 30 years.
Yeah.
And again, people like, oh, fuck, that's right, Bryan. And it's not that they're bad people. Like, they don't fuck with Bryan Callen.
What?
Everyone,
Listen, just because they didn't think Bryan Callen was a great comedian. Guys, let me warn you. It doesn't mean they're bad people. Oh, thank God. All right. I was ready to call them monsters. I was like, right now it's Diddy and the people that don't respect Bryan's comedy on the list of most wanted.
Everyone's the way Brendan looks at the world, everyone is coming at you. And so he's just identifying the people that are coming at you because they're coming at all of us.
Hey, listen, they're not bad. They're not bad people. Stop thinking they're bad people just because they don't respect Bryan Callen's comedy. Get that out of your head.
I'm with ELECTRA. This is some side shade he's throwing at him. He's like, why does
weird.
everyone think you're ugly?
I don't listen to The Fighter and the Kid enough. Like, there's some of the lore I'm not aware of. So I was like looking through the comments to see how they were taking this because I found it so odd. And their fans were like, oh, man, it's nice to see Brendan supporting Bryan for once instead of throwing him under the bus. And I'm like, that's their dynamic? That's the problem with this whole show. Bryan's the punching bag? You have to, obviously, Brendan should be the punching bag. That's easy. But I guess that's not their dynamic.
They got the straight man reversed. They did it backwards, and that's why they don't have the success that they should have. Maybe they should just Callen, grow some balls and just start making fun of Brendan.
I just don't know. I think Bryan's probably better at taking a joke than Brendan, so I imagine that's why they're that way.
Yeah, Brendan's better at taking a punch, though. So
it's true.
Everyone's so busy in their own lives, and Austin's popping. They don't even think of Bryan.
But I didn't realize. Like, I have to say too, when I was there,
hold on,
the younger
go back. I need to hear that again because some of these like flew by me. Brendan was throwing so many of these at me when I first listened to it. Hey, he goes, hey, you know what? It's not even these aren't bad people. Sometimes people are just too busy in their own lives to think about how great Bryan Callen is. And you know what? I got to say, that's true of me. Sometimes just day to day, like, I don't take time to recognize what Bryan Callen has done for me. I don't want to fall into the same bit we did last week, but Jesus Christ, we have to just fucking sit here and pray on all the good that Bryan has done for us.
I was riding my bike past the Pacific Palisades, and there was this lady standing in front of her burned out house. And I asked her what she was thinking about. She's like, I'm thinking about how Bryan's a great stand-up comic.
She had an old school DVD, and she's like, do you know the waiter in this movie?
I saved this.
Yeah.
I was able to save this one DVD.
Right, Bryan. And it's not that they're bad people. Like, they don't fuck with Bryan Callen. Everyone's so busy in their own lives, and Austin's popping. They don't even think of Bryan.
But I didn't realize. Like, I have to say too, when I was there, the younger.
You hear that, Ron White? You son of a bitch! Start thinking about Bryan Callen more. You listening to me, Kim Congdon?
I gotta say, I don't think about him enough. I gotta write it down. I gotta think about Bryan Callen more.
It doesn't mean they're bad people. All right?
I've been a bad person.
That's important to know. No. Don't beat yourself up like that.
I didn't realize that
You're the Godfather.
Yeah, I didn't know that. I don't realize that.
You're
Rewriting history here.
This is crazy. Like, if you want to say people were shitty to Bryan in a time where he was abandoned by everyone and no one had his back, that's fine. To now completely like, you're the Godfather.
He took that very well too, Mike. He's like Bryan's hugging himself and smiling like, I am something.
I've never heard anyone say like, "Oh, all these new comics are ripping off Bryan Callen these days." They're all doing Callen on stage. They're all doing one of those classic Callen bits.
Callen clones is what we call them. They're all over the industry.
You're the Godfather, he says to him. Like, if that's not delusional.
You're my Godfather. You're the one that got me into it.
Yeah. It's pretty wild.
bud.
Yeah.
But everyone feels
That's
that way about
anecdotal,
you. But you're
Brendan. That is anecdotal to say, well, you got me into it, which means you got everyone in it. Shane Gillis, Theo Vaughn, Jordan Jensen. You're the inspiration for everyone, Bryan.
The doorman
wants credit now. You just opened the door, Bryan.
You're out here doing your own thing. You're one of the guys.
Yeah.
You got to be one of the guys.
Yeah.
Not playing grab ass with me out here.
Yeah, I gotta go do my thing. Yeah.
Whatever we got to do to figure it out.
We'll figure it out.
Get out of here.
We'll figure it out.
If Bryan moves, what happens to the podcast?
Shut up, bitch. It doesn't matter. Bryan needs to spread his wings and fly. Go, be free, Bryan. Don't be selfish in this time of need where everyone's lived in Austin for 4 years and suddenly we're having this revelation for some reason.
Yeah, and I love how the producer's like, how could we possibly do a show where you're not sitting in identical red chairs 30 inches apart? How is that possible? Oh, yeah, hi, Blind Mike in the East Coast.
Even the way she asks it is kind of like, it feels like this is like premeditated, where they're getting us all ready for the end of The Fighter and the Kid.
And I think we have a commercial about it. Yeah, they're setting us up.
Figure it out. Yeah. He has to do what's best for him, though. That's what's best for Bryan.
Yeah.
Might be what's best for Finding the Kid.
Yeah.
You know?
Maybe.
What a man.
You never know. Maybe we.
But I know what
you're flirting with the idea a little bit.
I'm trying to control my rage from our government. And yes. Yeah.
You
my
know?
rage is so bad.
Yeah.
It's and I'm working on it. But
yeah.
I like political Brendan, where he's like, "Hey, don't you get me started. Don't you say Gavin Newsom's name. I swear to God, I'll go off."
Was Brendan in the fire? His ears look burnt. Hey-o.
That's fun.
That's a fire joke. The next one's called The Mothership.
Yeah, so this is more talk about how Bryan destroyed the Mothership. It's a shame. I'm glad I got to go. I only went to an open mic, but at least I got to be there before it got destroyed by Bryan Callen.
Terrible mood. But Mothership was great.
Mothership was
just so you know, I was supposed to surprise you on Friday.
Ah, fuck,
Wow.
dude.
Oh my God,
Really?
is that the guy I see twice a week? For 15 years now? Is that guy? Oh my God, it's Brendan Schaub.
The piece of toilet paper on my shoe I can't get rid of. Hi, Brendan. Good to see you again.
I gotta tell you, if we do a live show and
yes.
and people are like, "Hey, Mike, we've got a big surprise for you." Ladies and gentlemen, it's Craig.
Craigers.
I'd be like, "Oh, nice." I kind of figured. I'm actually surprised he's not here, uninvited. He should just come to this anyways. It's not that big a surprise.
No, Craigers, there's your invite. You're coming to the live.
He's allowed. He's allowed. Much like Brendan Schaub, you wouldn't be like, "What? Brendan Schaub's at this taping?"
I bought a ticket on Southwest, flying out of Burbank. I was going to surprise. Ask AG.
Damn, bro.
But then,
Damn, AG was there.
yeah, I know.
Gordon
I was
Ryan.
texting everyone. I text
fuck.
Rogan. I'm like, how'd Bryan do? What are we, God, he needs this, blah, blah, blah. And he was like, he
Oh,
crushed it.
he needs this.
God, he needs this.
He's fine. His career is like, he's fine. He's on fucking. He does this shit with Crowder. I saw him on like Patrick Bet David's election coverage. It's weird, but I'm sure he's doing fine.
God, he needs this.
Oh God, and who is Brendan to be like, "Hey Joe, could you take care of our little Bryan?" I know I kill it in stand-up, of course, I retired with my tail between my legs at age 40. But Bryan really needs this.
Electra, please adopt this strategy with us going forward. When you talk to Blind Mike, be like, HACKRIDE, he needs this.
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
The first one, I think they don't even shoot a second. I'm like, really? He's like, yes. I asked to talk to Nick.
Yeah.
He's like, dude, crushing harder than he's ever crushed.
Yeah,
I'm like,
I
fuck
think
yeah.
I think that second show I did better than I've ever done in my life.
That's what I
Oh,
heard.
good. I was
literally-
worried he was going to take it like a human being and be like, nah. I hope I did. It seemed like the crowd really enjoyed it. I hope I did well. You know what, Brendan? You haven't gone far enough. I fucking crushed. Have you considered that this is why people mock you two assholes? That you constantly talk about how great you are, and people are like, oh, "Wait a second, this isn't so great." I think it's actually ripe for mockery. Have you considered that? If you hate it so much, it is a weird attitude to continuously have of how you're the greatest, and no one compares to you guys.
I think
And usually you exaggerate, but I've heard from multiple sources. Yeah.
yeah,
You crushed it.
It just was
Oh,
like
good. I was worried
yeah,
that
it
was an
was nuts.
exaggeration.
It was honestly nuts.
How's the mothership?
It's great
Is it cool?
energy. You know, just energy.
Hold on. That's
and
very
I'm
sad. That's very
How's
sad.
the mothership?
How's the Brendan has been friends with the owner for a decade and a half. I don't know how long they've known each other. A long time. And for Brendan to have to go, that's what this all is. Brendan's just like upset, which I do get, but it's all based on the decisions Brendan made. Like, he never once said, hey, maybe I'm not ready for this as a comedian. He's like, oh, Showtime is offering me a special? Absolutely. Oh, wait a minute. No one's offering me a special now? I'll shoot it myself and call it Gringo Poppy, and everyone's going to love it. Like, there's not a moment where Brendan said, hey, let's pump the brakes. He went from, like, trying to play theaters to a tearful retirement speech. Like, there was never a middle ground where Brendan actually tried to work on his comedy and come along, like progress as a comedian. He went from 0 to 60 back to 0 immediately. And it's sad to watch him be like, how's a mothership? I know what the outside looks like very well. What's it like inside?
Have they reupholstered any chairs?
God damn, that Kill Tony sells out so fast. I can never get a ticket.
He's talking to the mothership like his ex-girlfriend Shannon. Does she still talk about me?
She still look good? Yeah.
How's that ass?
Multiple sources? Yeah.
yeah,
You crushed it.
It just was like, yeah, it was nuts. It was honestly nuts.
How's the mothership?
It's great.
Is it cool?
Energy. Just energy. And I miss the hang. You know that guy Tommy Pope?
You're Mr. Hang.
Yeah.
Like, that's your thing.
Yeah, you know Tommy Pope?
God.
He's in chains.
Mr. Hang. I wish Brendan was Mr. Hang. Jesus Christ.
Mr. Hay.
That must
I'm
be
a,
like
I'm a
he-
thick boy, for God's sake. But Jesus, bro, you're Mr. Hang. Of course you miss it. What is he, Abbott and Costello? Of course you miss the hang. You're Mr. Hang. It's like, oh, nice. Good one, Brendan.
Wordplay.
Mr. Hang. It sounds like all his girlfriends didn't necessarily think that, but
Ew.
he's on that. I think he's on that show Tires. Funny dude from Philly.
Okay.
Irish Italian guy. Just a guy who I can hang and talk with.
Yeah.
It was him, a bunch of other guys I had just met. They're all fucking great, but everybody just hangs. It's like a New York hang
wow. That's
that we
crazy.
used to do all the time.
There's
But we
human
don't
beings.
have
The
that.
best part of comedy.
This conversation and coffee was amazing. I don't have some just dullard next to me who just has weird thoughts all the time.
I like Tommy Pope. Shout out Stuff Island. But to be like, for Bryan Callen, who's been in the business for 30 years, to be like, Brendan, you're not going to believe it. Tommy Pope was there, among others. Like, ooh, I got to get down there.
Just
And meanwhile, Brendan just wants a painting of the inside of the place. What's it look like in there? Leather seats? Wow, that's pretty good.
Can you get me a cup with the name on it?
It is weird that a guy like, has Joe not given him a tour when he's down there? Like, Brendan's literally never been inside the place.
He's in the back of the line every night, just waiting to get in. I'm VIP, man. Let me in.
Oh my God. We don't have it.
But right, I'm getting all these text people tell me keep an update on Bryan, make sure he goes well. I go to his Instagram, right?
Nothing.
I'm like, huh? A single boat? Sound like Sebastian right now. Not a single.
But I should have had somebody taking photographs. I was only thinking about the set.
No. Nothing.
Well, I posted videos. Me and Rogan.
No, it
and
doesn't
Theo.
matter. Nothing.
You gotta get pictures.
I couldn't get a picture of you, Theo, and Rogan together at in the green room. Boom.
But they're not big, those guys.
But it's not even big. Those are your boys.
Listen to these young girls. This is like what you should have asked me when I went down there to do Lauren Compton's show. They're like, "Hey, did you get to meet Joe Rogan?"
Like pictures?
These guys have been friends with each other for decades.
The Godfather, I thought.
You took a picture with Joe Rogan and didn't post it? What's wrong with you, Bryan? What is Brendan his aunt? What is this? They know the man very well.
Nothing, dude. I give you a page. It's a fucking.
literally
it's a promo.
don't think about it.
It's a promo. You're CNN.
Yeah. I don't think about it.
I need more organic.
I don't know what he means by that. You're CNN. But Brendan did a podcast with Theo Vaughn, and he's like, "You met him?"
What's he sound like in real life?
Yeah, is that accent real?
This one's called Bryan is Special.
So this is embarrassing.
What?
They just fillet him for how good his special was. Like, if you're a comic, you kind of present it with some humility, and you let everyone else go, "Oh, you fucking killed, man." This is weird the way Bryan takes these compliments.
Bryan was a superstar. I went to 2 different shows. He was a superstar. As soon as he came out,
Man. I know.
insane.
I know.
Yeah.
He wants to be
And he
this
killed it
weird
like crazy.
recluse fucking road comic that nobody ever sees.
Terrible.
I got a ton of DMs, a ton of messages from friends that were there that just said it was like your smartest comedy. So good. Like, I'm so bummed I couldn't.
The room holds 250 people.
Apparently. Would you
How are
like
you
this
getting
kind
all
of-
these messages?
Just let us know, Mike, when you would like us to fillet you like these producers are filleting me.
Oh my God! The media was covering it. People I've never met and will never meet have messaged me and said, "Bryan did good." Nice, it's really awesome.
Make it. I was so upset about it, but every one of your shows I heard was great.
Yeah, it was pretty tight.
He's like,
It's pretty tight.
there's not a second where he's like, "Hey, guy, enough. I'm uncomfortable." He's like, "Yeah, it was fucking awesome. It was tight. It was pretty tight." This is a 60-year-old guy, by the way.
That's when they're the funnest, apparently. That's what I've learned from the Dabbleverse. 60 is like the perfect age of
That's true. That's a good point.
future brain rot and then past.
I'm sure a lot of comedy
indiscretions
careers
catch
take
you.
off at 60, as we're learning.
Yes.
But
Yeah, didn't Samuel L. Jackson or some story like that? He started at like 50 or 60. But now we have Brendan. It isn't. But we have Brendan in Texas. Is the next one.
yeah, so this is where Brendan, yet again, really has his finger on the pulse of what's happening in comedy, where the discussion turns to like, well, why don't we both move down there? We're business partners. We could easily move this business down there. I think that'd make a lot of sense for our careers. And Brendan has just a finger on the pulse moment. He really gets what everyone's doing down there.
But so I went to Bryan's shows in Austin, right?
Yeah,
And
let's talk about that.
So
You've been talking
dude,
about it for
everyone
40 minutes.
that
Let's talk about that.
asked me questions about stuff. They're like, when are you guys going to move to Austin with all the stuff going on in California?
Yep.
Like they're saying, like that's like one of the number one questions when people would.
Oh, I'm
meet
sorry.
me
This
at
is
the
on.
shows.
When
This is
we're
just on the
leaving?
Thick
What-
Boy podcast, right?
Yes, Thick Boy, and that voice is not what he would look like if I heard that voice without seeing him. My God.
Yeah. So this is Brendan's solo show, the Schaub show, or whatever the fuck, where he's addressing this again. People, I that's why I got confused. I was like, "What do you mean? Let's talk about it." But this is Brendan toying with the idea of moving down there. Sorry, I forgot it was a different episode.
Oh, my bad. I should.
Going on in California.
Yep.
Like they're saying, like that's like one of the number one questions when people would meet me at the shows.
When we're leaving.
What? Yeah, or going to Texas. They said Texas, but Austin. I'm sure they want you guys to go to Austin. They want you guys to keep doing shows. They go, why do you guys?
I haven't heard that name in a long time. Brendan's like, oh my God, they want me in Austin. Well, maybe the old dog's gonna have to hunt.
I don't know.
Brendan's just toying with this idea. Move or don't. It's not that big a deal, Brendan. It's been 4 years.
Or put it up to chat for a vote. Just move on. Do something.
Yeah, see what we all think.
I said
I'm trying not to. It's on me. You know.
no.
I'll
I
be
definitely said that
honest.
because you have to. You're putting more time in with your kids. Plus, you had that issue with your daughter where she was,
Yep.
ill. So
I shut down everything.
Yep.
He has to remind him. Remember, that's why you said you retired from comedy. It seems like everything's fine with that now. You don't really ever talk about it, but it is. You give a tearful.
That's
a
good
tearful
producing right there.
speech. About, remember, Brendan, the thing it seems like maybe you made up now to retire
that's-
from comedy.
That's solid producing because he's getting in front of Brendan forgetting about that. He's like, you remember your daughter?
Listen, obviously, I hope his daughter's okay. I'm sure she was dealing with something, and that sucks. Like, as a parent, I imagine that's terrible. But Brendan knew he was filming, chose to get his phone out, work up a tear, and be like, guys, I can never do stand-up again. And then we haven't heard about it since. Like, there's been no issues. Brendan has traveled for the podcast. There's no reason he can't be out traveling. So the producer has to remind, hey, Brendan, remember how you kind of used this as a reason to stop doing stand-up?
Was
Yep.
ill. So
I shut down everything.
Yep. But that's like one of the main questions they were asking.
Yeah.
And Texas is bomb, dude. Obviously,
Yeah, I
it's
don't
my
know if
hometown.
Austin's the move. It's fucking woke as shit there.
Texas.
We can
Oh
all
man, they can't
pretend
handle. They probably can't handle you down there, Brendan. Somehow they've managed to wrap their minds around Shane Gillis and Joe Rogan and Tony Hinchcliffe and all these people. But you, Brendan, you're the one. You'd probably get canceled if you moved down there. Uh-oh.
They won't let me flip my trucks down there.
the move. It's fucking woke as shit there.
Texas.
We can all pretend it's not. It's more woke than here. Austin. But Texas, like I like Fort Worth. Like if I'm going to Texas, I want proper fucking Texas.
Yeah.
That's smart. That would be really smart to just move to the state and be far away from the reason everyone's moving there.
Live on the panhandle. Live out in West Texas where no one lives, but high school football and dreams.
It's like if you're like, hey, I want to be part of the New York comedy scene. I'm going to move to Buffalo. Well, I think you kind of missed the idea of why people live there, but
It got just a bit outside. A little Bob Uecker tribute. R.I.P.
we'll get to that. There's plenty of Bob Uecker to mention
yes.
today, unfortunately. But yes, rest in peace, Bob Uecker. But yeah, Brendan yet again missing the mark completely. He's like, fine, you got me. I'll move to Texas. Just a completely different city than where all my friends are.
Electra, how you pipes? You pipes ready to do some chats? We got some super chats here.
I think I can handle it.
All right, here we go.
We'll
First
see though.
one.
Dawn Fried Chicken, $4.99. Craig, I found it very inappropriate that you showed my granddaughter your John Wayne Gacy art collection.
Well, there's nothing inappropriate about that. It's just art, right? Separate the art from the artist, I always say.
Yes. Just no touching, Craig.
And Tickle Me Tukey, $5. Thank you, OJ, to exposing me to Blind Mike. And thank you, Blind Mike, for exposing yourself to me. Hacka. You
You're
are
welcome.
a big boy.
Oh, thank you. Hey, did OJ not do a show this morning?
He did not. At least
Does anyone know
what
why?
the chat said. I think it's because there's a cold and flu going around. That's or he's really into divisional football.
He was
and he's getting
on
ready.
Tukey's show yesterday.
It's football. It's gotta be football.
I watched a little. I mean, it seemed like he handled it fine. So
Yeah.
that's strange they didn't do a show this morning, but hope he's all right, I guess.
Well, next week when he's there and he has no one to forward to it, it'll be reversed.
Yes, two ships in the night.
Yes. You can forward it to us, OJ. Catch 22. Go ahead, Electra.
Amanda Lynn Nappy, $19.99. Mike, thanks for the excellent podcast every week. Glad I was able to catch you live here so you don't have to share with Carl.
You got it, baby.
$19.99. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you. Box Eating Dad says, MAGA.
Box Eating Dad sent me a video I think we're about to play too, which is very disturbing. So thank you, Box Eating Dad.
Nice. Suburban Tug Time, $2. You're forgetting that Brendan is a dummy.
Well,
Hey, sometimes sometimes I do forget that. I guess that segment could have been a lot shorter. I guess if I just wrapped it up like that.
it's CTE, Brendan. That's how I always think. He just took a few too many hits to the head.
Yeah, maybe.
Ray Perbutt for $1.99 says, saw Matarese in Rochester Friday. ticks were cheap.
Oh, good. I heard the boys went out to see Joe Matarese. I'm curious to hear how. Well, it was Friday night, so maybe Karl talks about it on the podcast. I'll have to listen to that. I'm curious how old Joe was.
Terrible.
No, I doubt it.
$1 from Brandon from Connecticut with no comment, but thank you so much.
Well, thank you, buddy.
Thanks, brother. All right. Yeah. So now it's time for a little Burr action.
Yeah, sure. Because we talked a little about Chappelle earlier, and I'll say this: like, say we want about Dave Chappelle, I can listen to him talk all day. I think he's a great speaker, but like, there's not a lot of. He said like, "All right, fine. Lorne Michaels convinced me to do SNL so I can get rid of my Trump material." There were no Trump jokes. Like, it's weird to get up and speak seriously. On the other hand, Bill Burr got a lot of shit for this week. I'm going to rewatch it here. Maybe rewatching it will do something for me. I don't get why he got shit on so much for this. But people were like, "Oh, these two liberals fucking talking about the California wildfires." I thought this was exactly what Bill Burr has done for the last 20 years. Like, this seemed like normal Burr to me. I'm not saying it's the funniest bit he's ever come up with, but it seems like very standard Burr. But I'm going to re-listen here. Maybe I'll hear what you guys are hearing.
It's very good to see you. I heard you had to evacuate your home.
Yes. Like most people, I had to. I got lucky, the winds moved, but, the fire was coming and all that stuff. So I feel lucky.
Are you guys back in?
And I think everybody did a great job.
Yeah.
Unlike the internet,
Yeah, right. I know. It's right.
Oh, my God. All of these fire experts. Why didn't you just fly a helicopter into the ocean? And then just, I don't know, because there was 100-knot winds? You want to do that?
That's Burr talking about the banking system, talking about cancer, talking about everything. Like, that's how Burr has always talked about this shit. I don't really get what people are like, "Oh, man, Bill Burr has changed." I'm not saying it's the funniest thing he's done. And there is, as we talk a lot about on Why You Laughing, a problem a lot of comedians face as they get older is like once the magic trick is revealed, like with Anthony Jeselnik. Like, Jeselnik's coming to a point in his career where it's like he's still very funny. His last special was great, but there were moments where I was like, yeah, the kid's going to be dead, right? That's the twist this joke like, you're kind of bracing yourself for it. So with Burr, I think that's maybe the thing he's most guilty of is like you kind of know where he's going with this stuff, but I don't get the like outrage that this caused. I heard I was with the Warthog yesterday, and he had a Republican with WRKO, a right-wing radio station on, and there's a woman calling in, going, "Jimmy Kimmel and Bill Burr can take their liberal bullshit somewhere else." And I was like, Kimmel, I'll grant you. I don't get the outrage over this Burr clip. Maybe I'm missing something. I'm sure the chat will let me know.
Yeah, I'll let you know too, because I had a little bit of rage about it. But let's watch more.
Oh, good. Okay.
Yeah.
I was glad to do this with you on too, because you know more about what's going on. Obviously, you're in Los Angeles.
Right.
So.
Yeah, there's a very specific answer why people are mad. And
Okay, good.
I
Let's
agree.
get there.
I agree with it, and it's a comedy reason to me too.
Okay.
Hey, you lunatic.
How are you?
This was definitely mismanaged.
That's a big word we're hearing now.
Mismanaged, like some idiot on the internet knows how to manage the worst fire in LA, sitting there in his underwear. You know what? Looking at the footage on the internet, I have determined that this here was mismanaged.
You know about helicopters because I remember, and it's interesting now thinking about it because you said that.
About it. I know about the one that I fly. Other than that, I don't know anything about it.
But like, to me, that seems like normal Burr. And I'll tell you, here's where it cemented my opinion. You might be able to change it here. But what cemented, I was like, this is normal Burr, is what, like, he's just shitting on people on the internet. When I heard Brendan Schaub and Brian Callen breaking it down and stopping the clip, and Brendan's like, "Here's where you're wrong, Bappa." And it's like, oh, Bill was right. It's just retards that don't know what they're talking about. But I'm curious to hear your take on this. What did he miss?
Okay, so as a comedian, you have a choice: punch up, punch down. I really think that's a heavily in the formula of why we think things are funny subconsciously. and he had a choice.
I've never liked that though. I think you can punch either way.
Well, it just in this, I'm giving you the reason why I think particular people have a problem with the comedy here.
Okay.
Is that alternatively, you could have made fun of, I don't know, Karen Bass or Gavin Newsom for being terrible at preventing this. You could have made fun of the reservoir being empty. I look at like the choices on the table of comedy, and then to pick up, the people that are complaining about it is the point where the joke should go. I'm like, well, they're annoying, always there, and I never listen to them. Why would we focus on them and not focus on the leaders who fucked this up? Let's punch up, because if I want to see Bill Burr's power being used, I want to see it being used like to destroy something that systematically sucked. And I just find that he went for an enemy or a punchline that no one really cares about anyway.
Went the easier route.
Yeah, just easy, lazy. And there's Kimmel and him, both of them just being easy and lazy, collecting the checks and not not putting any fucking voice to power, which is what comedy is kind of supposed to fucking do if I listen to Carlin right.
I think Kimmel adds an element of this. Like, if it was just Bill ranting on his show, I don't think people are running with it. I think there's such hatred for Jimmy Kimmel when it comes to this type of stuff that people are like, look at these two. Whereas I'm taking it as just Bill Burr. And like, he has become more liberal. I think his wife is a big part of that. But like, that's always been Burr, is making fun of like us, basically making fun of the people complaining about shit. To me, that felt like standard Burr. I totally get what you're saying, where like he should be going after the big corporations, but he also said like he compliments fucking Luigi Mangione. I think we get to that at the end of this.
Yeah. No, that's always good.
Like he's saying like go after CEOs. So it's not like Burr is this completely soft Hollywood guy now. I think there's a little bit of that, but
it was a choice. I was just saying, like, there's a lot of weapons on the table, and he picked the one where, well, it's not going to do us any good in our particular situation in LA, where if he would have, a comedian stands up and says the right joke, these fucking leaders are out of here because no one can look at them anymore as serious. And that's what we're all waiting for.
I totally get that, but I also don't like the idea like Bill Burr is going to save us. He's doing Bill Burr type of, he's doing Bill Burr type of comedy, you know? Like I think too many people were looking at it like, well, if he bashed Gavin Newsom, that could change everything. It's like, it wouldn't. People for a day on Twitter, the people that go, fuck Bill Burr would be going, Bill Burr fucking nailed him. And literally nothing would be in the exact same place. It would just be the other half of the people that were outraged.
Right. Maybe the people without houses could have a smile on their face for 5 seconds. Just to have some support from somewhere.
That is fair. And but then again, I blame Kimmel. Because if this show was an escape from all that, and Bill Burr went off for 2 minutes about like fuck the people on the internet, no one's complaining about it. I think it's because late night in general, whether it's Kimmel or Colbert, The Daily Show, like it's all become preachy horse shit, and Bill Burr added a scoop of dirt on top of this massive landfill.
That's it. That's basically it. It's just you're not helping Bill. That's basically the sentence. What everyone. And he also kind of looks like a Superman villain in this clip.
He does.
I don't know why he has a turtleneck on, or it's like a small.
Is that right? Very serious Bill.
Yes, he's very
turtleneck
serious.
with a suit jacket, and it's all black, and he's just
okay. That's interesting.
Full Jobs. Bald.
Chat is saying that he sounds elitist, and I can get that.
So again, I get it, but he was saying this stuff when he had no money. Right. Like if you listen to Let It Go or You People Are All the Same, like he's talking like this. Now, you know what? As I'm saying it, I'm realizing it was usually about like the banks and the insurance companies and shit, and not people so much. But he does talk about people like, he goes, you go to imright.com and find like enhance your argument. Like he has had that sort of mentality about just people who bitch about stuff for 15 years. I do get the elitist thing, but again, I think Kimmel is a big part of that. If you remove Kimmel from that desk, I don't know if you're saying that about this particular joke.
I wouldn't want to remove the greatest Karl Malone cosplayer of all time from his own desk, Mike.
You know what? Someone, after we did that Jimmy Kimmel episode of Why You Laughing, someone messaged me, and I owe all of you an apology for not having this in. I couldn't find, I said, I guess the most ridiculous instance of Kimmel crying were the elections. Like he cried when Trump gets elected twice. And I was like, I thought there was a more absurd example. Not that that's not absurd, but you know what I mean. And someone sent me a video of him crying when Cecil the lion died. And I was like, damn it. Back to the editing room.
He
Make it
canceled for
short.
2 weeks when Harambe died. Jimmy Kimmel just went off the air. He couldn't take the pain.
Right.
You know
But
something
if you're on the
about-
internet, you know everything.
I hope you know about it because he's
Also, I think he's just hitting people that are negative to him in comments. So that's why it's also like it seems like people.
I
are mean to
don't
him.
see Burr doing that. I think we're projecting that onto him. Like,
Probably.
oh, he's mad at us because we criticize him. I'm not hearing anything that's where I expected to watch this clip because I had heard people talk about it first. I expected to watch this clip because Burr is one of my all-time favorites and cringe and go, oh God, Bill, why are you doing this? I watched it and I said exactly what I said before. It's not his greatest bit, but like, this is what he's done for a long time. I could probably find you 20 examples of him shitting on people on the internet for criticizing a topic.
said that you got your pilot's license in case like all hell broke loose in LA, you could get out of LA. And at any moment, did you think I'm going to make a run for that helicopter?
Well, the error in my thought was I didn't realize how expensive helicopters were. So
Not elitist at all.
all I have is a two-seater, and
All
I
right,
didn't want to
that's
have...
fair. Point Casey.
It's a funny joke though about the
to
helicopter.
make Sophie's choice with my family. So, you know, we all piled into the SUV like everybody else. But no, man, these guys were out there clearing the trees, getting the wires back up and everything. You know, I mean, it was like the perfect awful thing that could have happened, and it did. Huh? And I love how all the chatter out there is about bands of illegal immigrants and homeless people lighting fires. They light fires every day. They're living outside. They're cold. And this theory that some homeless guy without a car...
That does not go over well in my neighborhood. That thought right there, let me tell you.
But I'm laughing because he goes, they're fucking cold.
That is
To me,
funny.
that's
yeah.
funny.
But it's also very true. And almost burned my own building down here in Venice because of the same fucking thing. They're cold.
And homeless people lighting fires. They light fires every day. They're living outside. They're cold. And this theory that some homeless guy without a car went from Altadena all the way to the Pacific Palisades. And then we have a hang.
A fun fact, the free train that they let the homeless ride for free goes from Altadena to the beach. So yeah.
That is funny.
Yes. Takes about 40 minutes and, you can make it easy.
Lighter. You know, and they're talking about looting, but CNN and Fox News are not going to bring up the insurance companies that are just going to keep everybody's premiums and still give themselves a bonus. Yeah. Yes.
No, we got
Free Luigi. I love how they acted so.
Like that to me has been his thing forever. Like criticize kind of both sides in a way, where he's like shitting on the people, acting like experts. Like, and I get people like you are obviously more sensitive to it because you're living in it. But I'm just telling you, as someone on the other side of the country, after he said this, I watched Brendan Schaub break down why Bill Burr is wrong, which proved to me how right he was.
And I'm not sensitive about any of this shit. I'm just trying to explain
I just mean
why.
in general, it makes sense for people living in it to be like, fuck you, Bill Burr. You know, like you had a much easier time getting out of there.
I mean, anyone that takes actual offense to that should get a life. It's a joke.
Surprised. Why did that happen? I have no idea. He wrote on the bullets why it happened.
Perspective is the next one.
Yeah, so I didn't get why people saw that as elitist from Burr when you step back and say, like, that's the type of shit he's been doing forever. Like, so it's interesting to me, he had the same perspective, but now he talks about how things are different. And maybe this contributed to why people have a problem with him. Because he talks how he's changed over the years.
If you could see him, Mike, it would change everything. It's a Superman villain.
It might be. I didn't realize he was wearing a turtleneck. That's tough.
A turtleneck changes. Black turtleneck and a black sports coat.
That's already
Changes
changing in my mind a little bit.
Yes.
They're trying to figure out what
I feel
it's
like you're
say out
very
here.
introspective lately. It seems like, based on watching the special, it does seem like you're getting in touch with your emotions? Am I imagining that?
Yeah,
or
no, I've learned that I'm really difficult to live with. And, you know, you have a wife and a kid, you know, a couple of kids, like when you start seeing your behavior is going to affect them positively or negatively, you kind of have to stop playing the blame game. And I don't know, dude, I don't want to go through my whole life being a lunatic. You know what I mean? And there was like a whole thing of like, you know, East Coast people, dude, don't lose your edge. You don't want to lose your edge. Don't go getting happy. It's like, I think that's the point of the game. Stay miserable so you're still funny. And it's really like one of the big myths I found in comedy, because what's great is if you were angry and then you become just at least happier, you can revisit the same subjects with a different perspective of like, hey, maybe it was me. Maybe I brought something.
I thought that was actually very interesting to hear him say that. We're like, later in his career, a good way to evolve is to talk about some of the same stuff, but from a different perspective, because you've changed, because you have a family, because you're happier, you went to therapy, whatever. And so it's interesting because I'm saying, like, he's tackling this stuff the same way because I'm looking at from, like, this is how Bill Burr always talked. And people talking about him being elitist or whatever, I saw it as, like, him talking about the fucking firemen that were working, like, the regular guys that were working out there, not necessarily Gavin Newsom or anything. But people get very worked up about this stuff. This is why, to me, this is a minor example of where the right handles shit just as poorly as the left, where they hear this guy who's like telling jokes on late night, and whether it's because they hate Kimmel, because they hate Hollywood, because they hate Burr, whatever they're mad at, they're like, fuck him. It's like he's fucking around. I don't know. Like, there's not... Like, I saw it as a guy telling jokes. I didn't see this as what we saw last night on SNL with Dave Chappelle just tucking us into bed. Like, I saw it as Burr doing what he's done for 15, 20 years. So I was surprised by the response that it got.
I took no personal offense to it. I didn't lose a house, and I hate insurance. So I thought it was great. Yeah.
Casey Day approves.
Yeah, prove it. Electra, you ready for a few super chats here? Just a few. And then we'll get to some Stern versus Artie.
Well, actually, can we do Roseanne next?
Yes.
Just real quick, I want to get to someone who's handling political issues beautifully. In the
I was excited about Roseanne too.
That's why she's here. I guarantee she woke up just for the Roseanne thing.
I did.
All right, Electra, go.
And you guys too. Hey, we're listening here. Burr is thanking the authorities, but is he thanking OJ? That's what I'm mad about.
You know what? That's fair. I didn't look at it that way either. You guys are changing my mind on this. Yes. That's a good point.
Is that 5 lira? What is that? It's like an L with a
That's pounds.
Oh, 5 pounds. Thank you so much.
How great would that have been? How great would that have been, Burger? He's like, all right, thank you, OJ. I'm sorry. What do people want from me?
So inside. It would have been so inside.
Rocco Orbe 2002, whatever. $5. Ironically, late night hosts are some of the biggest whiners around. If only Burr called them out. But he's a bootlicker.
That's fair. Yeah, that's something where he is like... But you know what? Burr, I've seen enough Burr appearances. Like, Kimmel wasn't particularly douchey on this one. I don't know if he cried in the monologue or not. But at least in this interview, he seemed fine. I think if Kimmel said something to push Burr, like, he would go at him. I've seen him enough interviews do that, like make it uncomfortable. Bill Maher, people like that.
I come buckets, $2. Burr sucks. Boston always defends Boston.
That's true. Shout out to my guy.
He sounds just like my uncle from Boston, so I just have a soft spot in my heart for him.
Yeah, exactly.
Red 473 499. Isn't Bill just saying contrarian shit to bring attention to his special? Same thing as Jeselnik.
Most likely, that's a good.
Yeah, I guess I didn't really see it that way because again, I didn't. If I saw this first, and it's hard to say because I saw it after people were outraged by it. But if I saw it I don't think I would have thought anything inflammatory here. I would have been like, oh yeah, that's what Burr does, and then moved on with my day.
All right, that's it. Thank you, DJ Electrify. All right, so
thank you to all the super chatters.
Yes, thank you, super chatters. Yeah, so let's get to Roseanne. We talked about Bill Burr, but Roseanne knows how to handle politics. You know, she is getting her message across as an artist should. So, do you guys know Tom MacDonald?
Oh my God! Unfortunately, yes.
Tom MacDonald is a guy. Here's how I would describe Tom MacDonald. the first time I ever came across a Tom MacDonald song, I said, "Oh, this guy is talented, and that's a pretty good idea to basically rap about the opposite of what you would expect a rapper to be talking about. You're cornering a market. That's pretty unique." The second Tom MacDonald song I heard, I thought I already heard this song.
Oh, it's the Canadian guy?
It is all exactly the same. The third Tom MacDonald song I heard, I thought, why is Ben Shapiro in this? This is an odd route to be taking. So people talk about Burr, like, siding with the establishment. Tom MacDonald had Ben Shapiro, one of the most popular newsmen, on a rap song. But now he's taken a slightly different approach that I do respect. So let's hear the newest artist who has made an appearance on a Tom MacDonald track, shall we?
Here goes the monetization.
They try to cancel me and say that I'm a racist.
Hold on. Already I gotta say, I have to say this. If you just told me, Roseanne has a rap song, I'm picturing worse than what this is. That sounds crazy, but I'm picturing way worse.
They have cornered the market on making, culturally, relevant hip hop that is a little bizarre.
Listen, here's how I look at Roseanne. Doug Stanhope in his new special, Discount Meat, actually has a great bit about Roseanne, where he talks about Roseanne's politics and her conspiracy theories and all that. And he's like, you have to remember, Roseanne is insane.
Yes.
Like she will say, like, I'm fucking crazy. Like she's aware she's insane. So if you take it with that grain of salt, then who really cares? Now, if you look at it the other way, if you say Tony Hinchcliffe has told me repeatedly that this is the godmother of Austin comedy, and if that's true, then I apologize to Anthony Jeselnik. You were right. If this really is the leader of the cancel culture war, then Anthony was right about Austin comedy and all these people. I look at it as a crazy lady that we can all laugh and have a little fun with.
Electra was right in the intro. She went full Madonna here. Like, this looks like a 65-year-old.
It's a very sexy image, you're saying?
Oh, well, I wouldn't call it that. It's an attempt.
They try to cancel me and say that I'm a racist. Got a mean hook, they can't get me with that jam. Trying to take away my right to go and say this. Well, listen up, cause this run is going bad.
There's so much here. First of all, it's like how old is the bit of an old white person going like, my name's Roseanne and I'm here to say cancel culture must go away. It's like, it's just the corniest horse shit. And just the message of her being like, they're trying to take me down. Well, they did. To be fair, they canceled Roseanne years ago. Now they forget she's in comedy. So I don't think they're coming after Roseanne anymore. Now she has the freedom to say whatever the fuck she wants. And I do think it was crazy what they did to Roseanne. And if you ever see the I Thought the Bitch Was White video, you will believe that Roseanne did not know who Valerie Jarrett was before that tweet. Like, that's the best example of proof. I don't know if it would hold up in a courtroom, but to me, that is proof that she didn't know who Valerie Jarrett was when she's screaming, I thought the bitch was white. And she didn't know she was being filmed.
Yeah, she has great yes and. As a music producer, I can tell you this is the kind of people that you look for, that it will just go, yeah, just tell me what to say. Tell me what to do. Like,
how many takes do you think this was as a producer?
Recording, probably not that many, because
okay.
you just get her to say it once and you can edit it up, auto-tune it and all that. You want to get her happy and in the mood, so you're not going to keep her there forever and doing take after take. I want to get Roseanne the fuck out of my studio as fast as possible.
Do you imagine you would ever have someone come into your recording studio and you're working with them and you say, could you make your voice sound a little more like Roseanne?
No, I don't know how to say that. Like a me-seek or something.
This run is going bad. With the facts. Why they trying to turn Becky into dead?
Wait a second.
Was she saying facts? I hope she was saying facts.
Yeah, I hope so too. Just for monetization purposes. She wasn't though, right?
I think she's saying facts. Like, we're going to trust the facts, not media. Moving on.
Okay, yeah. And then she gets into a trans reference. She's like, they're trying to turn Becky into Dan. Which is kind of funny, I guess.
Well, if you're going to say
I'm
it,
on
hit the
board.
gas.
I might add this to the Spotify playlist. I'm liking this.
Put it at the intro.
Screw Eminem. I'm Roseanne.
Oh, God.
Wow.
I'm trying to imagine as a kid when I'm watching Roseanne reruns on TBS and I have a Marshall Mathers CD. If I'm ever thinking, I wonder if these two will ever battle rap.
It's like they fell into a blender.
But you know what? What's corny about like Eminem is like he might respond to this. You know what I mean? Like he raps about like Donald Trump and it's like, what are any of you people doing?
Yeah, he'd respond to it, but in a humorous way.
I hope so.
You know?
I hope so.
Yeah.
You mad, it's done, too bad, boo-hoo, so sad. We won, you mad, you cry.
All right, that's
So
all
this
you
is-
sent me. Thank God.
I think this is the moment where we all say, "Okay, guys, the cancel culture war is over."
It's over.
That's the final salvo. It's done now. All right. No, people on the right, don't go any further. We'll allow Roseanne to rap, but admit like we're all good now. The people that try to cancel people are crazy. The people that bitch about cancel culture are also crazy. Like, I think we're in a good spot. It's very delicate. Nobody move. Let's stay in this spot where Roseanne can rap and we can all laugh about it. I think that's a good place to be.
Mm-hmm. Well, just give it a week, and I think we're going to be in hell again. With
That first
our
line
new lead.
is going to be stuck in my head for a while.
They tried to cancel me and say that I'm a racist.
Her voice. Oh.
Can I hear it again? Can I hear that one more
No,
time?
no.
Let's hear it again. Yes. Hold on.
Just that first line is all I want. Once more.
They tried to cancel me and say that I'm a racist. God, I mean,
All right, that's all. That's all.
Let's get to the facts. Facts.
I don't know if we can play that again.
No, goddamn. Craig's ear got up on that one. All right, so time to move to Howard versus Artie.
This bugged me. I imagine it bugged you too as a Howard Stern fan, right?
Yeah, I don't like this.
I mean, it's if you know anything about Howard Stern in the last 12 years or so, you expect this. I'm not breaking news here. But this particular one really bothered me. I think if it was about almost anything else, I might have retweeted it, but like that's about it. Because we all know what Howard Stern is, what the Stern Show is at this point. The culture around trying to just hide from what they were, which is weird because there are moments where Howard will acknowledge it, like when Gilbert Gottfried dies or Pat Cooper or someone like that. Like he'll acknowledge those old days, but he does it in such a bizarre way. So, if you don't know what I'm talking about, the great Bob Uecker passed away at 90. A wild career, like one of the most unique careers in entertainment, where like he was a great Tonight Show guest. He was a baseball play-by-play guy. He was on Mr. Belvedere, like a bizarre resume he has. So a lot of people were tweeting out like the Norm and Artie stories of Bob Uecker. Let's start with one, shall we, from the Howard Stern Show.
Yes. I call Bob Uecker the original Pat McAfee. He's a guy that like just entertained and was all over spread out in entertainment. Pat McAfee's really in his shadow. But yes, here's the
I talked to Bob Uecker, by the way.
Oh, did you? Did you see that?
Yeah,
Was he mad?
Whatever.
Was he really?
Was he?
What do you mean?
Last time I went on Letterman, I told a story about Bob Uecker.
Yeah.
And what did he say? Does he not remember it?
He said, no.
Was it a bad story?
The story is, all right.
Don't tell the story.
Don't like. I don't care. Bob Uecker's 90. I don't care if he's mad.
Yeah.
I love Bob Uecker.
No, he wouldn't know it from this show.
So they're talking about like the story that Artie told on Letterman about where like Bob Uecker, he said he called him basically an artist with the dump button or the cough button, where he would be talking and he'd say ground ball to short, then hit the dump button. And go, check out the tits on that broad, and then go right back to over to first, 1 out. Like he was a maestro of being able to talk about the crowd to guys off mic. And so that's the story that Artie tells. Then Norm tells another story, which is what we're leading to here. This is the one I tweeted out from the Why You Laughing account as well. I enjoy this one.
So the other thing he did, let me tell the one other thing he did, because this is amazing.
Yeah.
He sees John Fogerty.
No, that was what I was going to
Creedence Clearwater
Let
Revival.
me tell that one.
All right, go ahead.
Norm.
So he sees John Fogerty, from Creedence Clearwater Revival. So he's like, "Hey man, that's that fucker's a rock singer." He goes, but he can get out of the sand trap like nobody's fucking business. I played in a charity tournament with him. So we're like, yeah, we know who John Fogerty is. And he goes, at the 7th inning stretch, I'll have the fucker come up and sing for you.
Fogerty's there with his kid, by the way. He's a big Cub fan. He's here with his 8-year-old son, John Fogerty.
So we're like, no, you don't have to do that.
Right, don't get John Fogerty to sing.
Leave him
for us.
alone. It's all right. We don't want him singing in front of us.
So then he gets mad at us. He goes, "Do you even know who fucking John Fogerty is?" So we go, yeah, he did Creedence Clearwater Revival. He goes, "Yeah, he did all that fucking shit." But anyway.
It's a great story. You hear Artie interject there. You hear Artie's laugh and everything. And it's a fun Norm and Artie story. And they tell a bunch more Bob Uecker stories. So immediately when Bob Uecker died, I thought of these stories on Stern, like I'm sure a lot of people did. Evidently, the Howard Stern Show staff even thought of them. And this is very strange because Norm had such a connection to Artie on that show. A big part of the reason Artie ever got to Howard Stern was Norm bringing him on. Norm wanted to avoid Howard asking him about who he was dating. And he goes, "My opener is here, Artie Lange. He's got a good story. Come on, Artie." And from there, Artie became a fixture on the Howard Stern Show. Obviously, they're good friends for a long time. Artie is at a point in his life where, as far as I know, he's basically like dying in Florida. Like, I don't know what's going on with Artie. The last we heard of him, he did not sound well. There's all these rumors of what he's doing, but like, he's not even a public figure anymore. So I would think there's no problem with leaving that little snippet of Artie Lange that we just heard in this story. But this is how the Stern Show tweeted out. They go, "Hey, here's a great Norm MacDonald, Bob Uecker story. Rest in peace, Bob Uecker." And this is how they decided to present it.
I talked to Bob Uecker, by the way. I was in Arizona, so I said, "I'll go to spring training." I went up to the booth. So he sees John Fogerty, from Creedence Clearwater Revival. So he's like, "Hey man, that's that fucker's a rock singer." He goes, but he can get out of the sand trap like nobody's fucking business. I played in a charity tournament with him. So we're like, yeah. He goes, at the 7th inning stretch, I'll have the fucker come up and sing for you. So we're like, no, you don't have to do that.
Leave him alone. It's all right. We don't want him singing in front of us.
So then he gets mad at us. He goes, "Do you even know who fucking John Fogerty is?" So we go, yeah, he did Creedence Clearwater Revival. He goes, "Yeah, he did all that fucking shit."
I don't know how they did it. His laugh is quieter in this clip. Like, there were some parts he couldn't cut around because Artie was laughing. His laugh is quieter in that clip.
Oh yeah, they tried to cut
every
Artie.
little bit of him out.
Yeah,
they didn't even want his laugh in there, which is a really insane way to behave. But you hear, like, right away, right out of the gate when he goes, "I talked to Bob Uecker the other day." The clip would be, "I talked to Bob Uecker the other day," and Artie goes, "Was he mad?"
Mm-hmm.
Like right out of the gate. And then the clip where Stern interjects, it's all Artie, and then Stern just repeats what Artie was saying. And they cut that all out. So literally they cut out context just to remove Artie. And here's where it annoys me, is like, Artie is a man, he's no longer offensive. He's essentially a historical figure. Like, he's not performing comedy at all anymore. He has disappeared. And it doesn't seem like he's doing great health-wise necessarily. No. You can't just leave Artie in the clip. Like, that's where it's really disgusting. And it's beyond Howard trying to change his image. He's humiliated by what some people think is like the best part of the show. Like, particularly me. I think if you're into comedy, I think Artie, and I mean like stand-up, I think Artie is probably your favorite part of that show ever. I would bet, I haven't done a lot of research about this, But I would bet there is a dividing line between, like, when people talk Jackie versus Artie or the Jackie era versus the Artie era. I bet there is a pretty clear dividing line among people who like other comedians versus people who just like the Stern show. And I think if, like, you're an actual comedy fan more than like a Stern fan, which I definitely fit into that category, I think you have such reverence for Artie because he changed what that show was, I think, in a positive way. And to erase that is just, it's like sickening. It's gross to watch.
It's a bitch move from a billionaire.
Yeah.
I mean, how much money do you need to have some fucking a spine and back the people that helped make you what you fucking are? Artie is a main reason why a lot of people love that era of Stern. Yeah. ELECTRA, you saw both of those stories. Which one was better? Like, which one did the comedy gods, you know? Like,
right.
Obviously, the first one, I mean, I hate this whole cancel everybody thing. Like, you can't just.
That's a good point. That's a good point too. Is like the Artie version is a better story.
Yeah. So Stern has chosen anti-comedy to be his way out. I don't get it.
I just watched Artie stand up for the first time a couple days ago, and loved it.
There's a couple bits. Artie doesn't get enough credit. I don't think Artie was like the greatest stand-up, but there's a couple bits. He has one that I'm not saying these people stole it, but like they made it better. It evolved. But Artie had these bits first. It was about the word midget versus the N-word, which John Mulaney did years later. And the Special Olympic, the creation of the Special Olympics, which obviously Shane Gillis is a very famous bit like that. It's just parallel thinking. But it's like Artie did those years before those guys. Like, I don't think he gets enough credit for how good a stand-up he was. But not like take that out of it. It's a better story, like we said. And also, who's going to watch the clip the first clip we played, and be like, "Oh God, Artie Lange was on this show? Sirius XM, I'm unsubscribing." Like,
right?
Who is it benefiting by editing Artie out?
Howard.
If any, but not even, because if anything, his old fans would go, "Hey, Artie."
Yeah. Not
his
see him again. Not his fans. Howard's ego. That's the only thing that's cut for. I'm convinced the only reason they hired the tapes team was to just soothe Howard's ego, cut out bad words, make everything like sanitized and boring. Like, what has the tape teams given us in these last 15 years? Nothing.
Do you have any idea what Howard 101 is now?
It's replays of the shows, and then it's specials.
But what, like, do they ever play anything before 2013?
In their history of Howard, they do, but it's as sanitized as that last clip was. So if you want to hear Artie or Jackie or anyone that used to work there, good luck.
Will they edit out Artie? They'll play clips and edit out Artie and Jackie?
No, they just won't play those clips. They'll choose clips where they're not in. It's just a lot of like the stuff from like the past 5 years. Really, that's all it is. The stuff.
Sirius even want Stern's catalog then, if that's how they have to approach it?
I mean, YouTube has it at this point. Sirius, right. We have battled Sirius at Unboxing Eric tonight at 7 p.m. Pacific. 18 times over copyright issues, and every single time they just buckle at the end. They have no will because they know you're the only ones playing the good stuff. Why would we let you to stop? You know?
Yeah, it is like I said, 99% of other clips they tweeted wouldn't have even crossed my radar. Probably someone sent this to me on Twitter, and I expected to be like, oh yeah, it's Stern cutting shit. But this one, for whatever reason, rubbed me the wrong way because there's nothing offensive that Artie is saying. Like there's no, it adds to the story, and
right.
it really just was gross. And the suppressing the laugh, where you hear his laugh louder in our clip than you do in the Stern clip, like that's weird to me.
Also, dark thought, if what you kind of hear about Artie is true, and let's hope it's not, but it's sort of like a dimension-y kind of thing. That's what we hear. We hear that he's sort of got, sort of a dementia problem. Do you want to go in and cut him out of clips where he's watching them and he's like, was I there? Was I? You're just fucking with him even more.
And then he has no, like, God forbid something happens to Artie. Howard has no right to do one of these eulogies where he's like, Artie was a massive part of that show. People will riot if he tries to pull that shit.
Nope. No, do not attempt that. Don't attempt that. All right, we got a few super chats, and we'll get into some Opie.
Okay.
Merch Mouse for $4.99. HACKRIDE, please add Mike doing Roseanne to the soundboard. Great show as always.
Yeah, I agree. Kragers. That one's for you, Kragers. All right.
And Ben Boulin, thank you so much for the 99 cents.
Thank you, buddy.
I like these ones.
And thank you, Ben Boulin, for a slice of pink birthday cake with purple icing and a candle.
I like that.
It's a super sticker.
YouTube loves just disrupting the show. Thank you, YouTube. I have a feeling you want to maybe skip Opie, maybe to Steel Toe. You're checking your clock, or you want to do the Opies?
I have no idea what you're talking about. I want to do Opie, yeah.
Oh, okay. I was just checking. I mean, we got football games today. Mike's like, oh, there's football.
No, I'm in no rush.
Okay.
Yeah, let's get to Opie.
All right. First one is Opie versus Anthony.
So it's funny when we talk about Opie, which we did last week. I always check back because Opie's like, oh, I'm so sick of talking about this stuff. I hate talking about Opie and Anthony. And then sure enough, when I go back the following week, the next 6 videos are Opie and Anthony related. So it's weird. He actually is sick of this stuff. I think it's a real illness that he deals with because it seems he has no control over it because he's always talking about Opie and Anthony. It's the only thing people in this chat want to ask him about. And God forbid he ignore it. He has to get really upset about it. So this is him talking about Anthony. Here's the problem with Opie is like, there's an aspect of what he's about to say here that I actually agree with. And then you remember he's Opie. And you're like, oh, wait, that seems fucking hypocritical. So he's about to compare Anthony and Joe Rogan here.
Yeah, I think ELECTRA called him nonsense quicksand.
Yes.
Bill Burr and C. Soda Kenny suck. Okay, so you're defending Anthony, I guess. Another thing Anthony took no responsibility for, like zero, John. You want the honesty. The only reason you don't like Bill Burr or Club Soda Kenny is because of...
We're missing a clip here.
Uh-oh. Well, this is...
Uh-oh.
Oh, that's the Bill Burr. I'm sorry. Opie versus Anthony.
Yeah.
So you want to start with Opie versus Anthony.
Yeah.
My bad. Here we go.
It's kind of undeniable. My fall from grace has been pretty dramatic. I would be the first to admit that. But I think the biggest drop in radio history has to be Anthony Cumia. It has to be.
No,
the guy had...
Because some people still watch Anthony. It's like, I get it. If anyone else could have this discussion and say, wow, look at the fall from grace Anthony has had. If you look at his Twitter and you're like, this is one of the top radio guys, and now he's just, Anthony, we get it. There's statistics that prove you should be racist. We understand. You've hammered the point home. So if you look at Anthony's Twitter and say, like, boy, that guy really fell from grace. Totally valid argument. And then you remember 6 people are watching this guy, and he was his partner.
Yes. Many people watch this guy. Let's watch Jake Hudson sometimes. That's crazy to me. Maybe one other guy has had a fall.
More people watch this show than watch Opie.
Way more.
I was just a fan of his.
Yes.
It's all the talent in the world. The guy had an insanely good sense of humor. He was respected by every single comedian worldwide. He had Joe Rogan eating out of the palm of his hand.
Hold on. Just to be, I liked the Opie and Anthony show. It was a very big show. You think Jerry Seinfeld was like, you got to hear this guy's Dice impression? To say every comedian is a little excessive, Opie. You're taking yourself I think you think a few more people knew about the Opie and Anthony show than actually did. But I get the point he's trying to make. Comics liked Anthony.
And without me, without Jimmy, he could have easily been a massively huge success outside the Opie and Anthony show.
Massively huge.
And he threw it all away to stay up all night drinking and yelling and screaming about race. Let's just call him racist.
He did that on the show. He would stay up all night drinking and come in at 6 a.m. to do the Opie and Anthony show. It's weird. Opie didn't talk about it on air then. He held grudges behind the scenes, but he never really brought it up. Anthony would go on. I don't know if Opie was there during this era, but roughly from 2008 to the time the show ended in 2014. I don't know if you ever heard Anthony talk about Obama. Race was brought up once or twice. Yes. So I don't know. This is just revisionist history where Opie's like, and then all of a sudden, the day he stopped sitting next to me, he became a racist.
issues in America. So I pointed out, I was actually leaving him alone, and then someone sent me a video where him and Kevin Brennan, I guess, text each other. And they talk about people they don't like, and one of them is Opie. And then he attacks a YouTube channel that has nothing to do with Opie and Anthony.
Oh,
so I pushed back, and
it's all fucking like if you go to Opie's TikTok or this YouTube channel, I'm sure he'll do it eventually on Opie Unleashed NYC. It's all old O&A clips. What's hilarious is on WATS we played clips of his TikTok the other day, and there's a clip of Opie trashing Jim Norton and saying how useless Norton was on the show, and he's not a good broadcaster and all this stuff. If you swipe one down, the next video starts with Jim Norton asking a guest a question. It's Opie taking clips from the Opie and Anthony show of Jim Norton and using them for his own TikTok. So this guy is just delusional, even when he makes good points. Like, I think he has a point to be made about Anthony. I do think it is crazy that a guy as talented as Anthony is just like, he's on with Kevin Brennan. That's Opie's best point, is a guy with that talent is now just reduced to, MLC is the best place he can promote his podcast. So, like, that is a downfall. And if you look at Anthony's Twitter, he's become unhinged. I still think Anthony's very funny, but, like, if you look at that Twitter, it's like, what are you doing? Who is this for? Other than, like, 18 racists on Twitter that are like, you go, Anthony. You're making good points here. So, like, Opie has a point to be made, and yet he just misses it by not acknowledging his own horse shit.
oh boy, did that bother him. Oh boy, did that bother him. But, the biggest fall in a career, I absolutely would give to Anthony Cobia. No doubt. A lot of people are like, he was the whole show. He was the whole show, him and Jimmy. So, okay, I'm out of the picture. He could have easily been, I think he could have easily, this is garbage. Oh my God, this isn't garbage, Goontown. You all right?
Goontown, just to be clear, Goontown is one of 9 live viewers. Yes. As Opie is like, this guy really could have had a career, and look at him now. Okay, what's Goontown saying? It better be something good, because I have nothing else to talk about.
Yeah. No super chat money attached to that. That's a free chat. Opie's right there.
I honestly, you want the honesty? Sure, no problem. The honesty kind of pisses people off, but what are you going to do? I think, honestly, I think Anthony, if he could have pushed down the racist crap, that in the beginning of the Opie and Anthony years was, it was subtle. It was funny. There was always something.
It's so lucrative. You know what? It was very subtle. Again, go back and find any clip of Anthony talking about Obama or just that era. Look up Anthony talking about Obama phones and see how subtle. Is this guy talking about race? I can't quite tell.
Opie doesn't know unless the N-word is shouted in a room that they're talking about race.
But it's weird. But actually, you're right. Opie has no. I used the phrase "finger on the pulse" earlier. Opie has none of that. I thought he at least had some. Like, he knew what would be good on radio, and his new show proves that's not really the case, because he's delusional in that he's saying, like, hey, listen, when this guy was sitting next to me, oddly enough, when I was in the room, his amount of racism was perfect. And then when he stopped sitting next to me, who was adding nothing to the conversation, it just magically, all of a sudden, now he's a racist. Wouldn't you believe it? It's crazy how that works. That when he was being racist when I was there, it actually wasn't racist. And then when I left the room, suddenly it became racist. It's weird.
Also, when I get checks, things are less racist. When I don't get checks, very racist.
That's the ultimate problem, is like, if he was making money off Anthony's racism, then who gives a shit,
Yes. Yeah.
Funny about it. I had no problem with a bunch of the racists humor back in the day, but then it just became not funny anymore and just
Wonder when that happened.
real anger. And that's where I started having a problem with it. And if you're going to push all that down, I have no doubt in my mind that he would be, instead of them talking about Joe Rogan, they would have been talking about Anthony Cumia. He would be the one making hundreds of millions a year. So when people look at me and laugh and say, oh my God, look what happened to this guy. Look at what happened to his career. Don't forget, Anthony could have been a giant in the broadcast industry outside the Opie and Anthony show. And he failed miserably. His company failed miserably as well.
Wait, so is Opie admitting he wasn't talented?
Yeah, I think that's
because it was called the Opie and Anthony show. Opie had top billing, technically. They were equal partners. They always got paid they made sure they were paid the same. Like, they were equal partners in that business. And Opie's saying, you guys think I suck. Anthony actually had talent. And he hasn't done that much with it. Like, Opie's kind of saying, hey, if you grade on a curve, yes, Anthony had compound media, and it's not massive, but like it's bigger than what I'm doing. But I'm talentless. Don't you see? Opie has no skills. Why would you compare us when Anthony's actually good at what he does? It's not fair to compare A to B. So it's this weird admission of like, Opie talks about how great he was, but here he's kind of saying like, hey, who's worse, me or Anthony? Anthony actually could have done something in broadcasting. I overachieved.
Yes. At least I'm not funny. I cost less. I was a better investment long term.
And it's me and Carl kind of got into this on WATS the other day. But like, to compare Anthony to Joe Rogan, they're entirely different shows.
Yeah, that was incorrect.
Joe Rogan doesn't understand jokes when he has comedians on. Anthony is when Anthony is good, he's being completely silly. And even when he's serious, Anthony's like screaming and over the top, whereas Joe is very dry and very subdued. Yes. Like, it couldn't be two more different guys, really, as far as broadcasters.
Can you see Anthony talking to like one of those mystic UFO guys? That's clearly just a Joe Rogan thing.
Anthony just softly going, "What do you mean by that?" Oh yeah, I hope he really understood what he was as an interviewer.
Did you vote for Obama? What does that have to do with it?
Yeah.
Man, I ain't being this dumb punching bag anymore. 20 plus years of him just manipulating the audience and taking his little shots wherever he can. Wrote 2 books where he trashed me. I'm not doing it anymore. No, we're not doing that anymore.
2 decades
it's
is the
kind of
limit.
undeniable. My fault.
2 decades.
Yeah, right. It's weird. Opie, every video Opie makes about Anthony, he's like, "Hey, this is the time. I'm not going to allow it anymore."
Starting now.
Yeah, but every time it's starting now. and then he allows it again, and then Opie just says the same shit. Opie says the same shit about Anthony. Here's what is where Opie does hit the nail on the head is both of these fucking idiots have destroyed the legacy of Opie and Anthony. Because if you say like, "Hey, I'm an Opie and Anthony fan," people just think it's a racist show, which it wasn't. And like, even we played the clip of Jeselnik, I think, on Marin, where Jeselnik and Marin are talking about what a horribly volatile and hostile environment it was. Marin was like a repeat guest who enjoyed going on Opie and Anthony. And now it was like this toxic, racist environment. And a lot of that is because of Anthony. And then if you look at Opie, like, this guy had a show, not a successful show. They allowed him in a building that had fucking antennas. Like, that's crazy. So both of these fucking morons have done everything they could. Jim Norton's the only one who kept his mouth shut, continued his career the same way he was doing it. Like, I see the amount of shit that Jim Norton gets from Opie and Anthony fans, and it just proves that they're like angry, irrational people. Because if you look at Norton's career, like, he kind of just kept doing what he's been doing forever. So like, he's the one guy that's tried to preserve that name, whereas Opie and Anthony have both just spat upon it time and time again.
Why hate Anthony when you're just the other?
This one's called Opie Should Have Left.
This is even crazier. It's like just revisionist history again. where Opie's like, you know what would have really been great? You see me here on the live stream with Goontown and 6 other people watching me. You know what I should have done? Is left the Opie and Anthony show before it started.
The other end of the political spectrum, huh? Not Jimmy Stewart. No, I hate Anthony because I think he's a terrible person. I think he's human garbage. Has nothing to do with politics. And believe it or not,
probably cashed pretty nice though, huh?
Yes, gave no money back. No refunds.
If we lined up our politics, there's definitely a whole bunch of categories we would agree on. Not Jimmy Stewart. That's on him. Another way he can manipulate his stupid audience.
That's a feather in Anthony's cap, though. Opie agrees with him politically. A guy with no interesting thoughts. A guy who's never moved the needle politically one direction or the other. He agrees with Anthony a lot. That's really something to hang your hat on, it.
And gaslight everybody. Not only wasn't he funny on the show, he's also a lib, guys. So go after him. He's a lib. No, I'm not. I'm not even close to a lib.
Nice.
It has nothing to do with politics. I sat next to the guy for 20 some odd years. I was a stupid human being. In 2000, I knew I was in trouble. I knew I was doing something I didn't want to do.
Okay, for people like Casey Day, I'm a historian on this matter. We've done many episodes on the history of the Opie and Anthony show. Let me just fill Casey in.
Mm-hmm.
In 2000, if the Opie and Anthony show stopped in 2000, the legacy would be, hey, do you remember those guys in Boston that got fired for saying the mayor is dead? What are their names again? And no one knows. And they're like, yeah, I don't really know. They were just like edgy shock jock. They wanted to be like Howard Stern, and no one would push back on that argument, and the conversation would end because there's nothing more to say. Opie and Anthony were on AAF till 98. They got fired. The Opie and Anthony show didn't really start, in my mind, until the year 2000. Like, 2000 is where they found their voice finally. And they made it more of a hang, and they were shock jocks at that time and doing crazy shit with, girls and retarded people, the way shock jocks would. And they would have comics in and hang and bust balls and everything. 2000 is really the year that Opie and Anthony found their legs. And this genius is saying, you know what I should have done? Left right that second.
The guy I was doing a huge radio show with, I didn't want anything to do with. I called my super agent. I said, I quit. He goes, you're about to become a millionaire. I'm like, I don't care. This guy's a terrible person. And then because I was weak. Take some responsibility, Ope. Here's the responsibility. I was weak.
Really? Because everyone said, like, you kind of ran the show. No one knew if their contracts were getting extended because you were such a nightmare to work with. You were the boss. Like, you controlled everything. So it's weird in this moment, you were weak when you picked your partner. You chose him. And Opie, I always admired Opie for this. Opie said, I want to be paid the same as Anthony. Like, me and Anthony should get the same deal. Opie was in radio longer at that time. He knew the business. He probably knew how to manipulate a lot of those conversations. And he said, no, me and Anthony are equal partners in this. Now, maybe you could say they weren't so equal in terms of talent. So Opie should be happy with what he got. But as far as like from a negotiating standpoint at that time, Opie probably had the upper hand and always said, like, hey, me and Anthony make the same. We're partners. It's the Opie and Anthony show. And now he's like rewriting this where he's like, this man, he was a monster. He was, I couldn't deal with him. It was a nightmare to go into work every day. And then if you hear the Opie and Anthony show, you hear none of that. Like, there are glimpses of them fighting, but there isn't this tone of like Opie being afraid of Anthony. So what Opie's saying here is like, he believed this and he was just a complete coward. That's not a point of bragging. You don't get to say like, hey, here's my fault in this. This is the worst guy alive, and I allowed him to make me millions of dollars. You don't get to now, 20 years later, be like, hey, hand up, I was guilty. I had some fault in this.
if you do it from like a shack in the middle of the desert, and because you're doing it from $20 million house overlooking the whole city.
Yeah.
It just sounds disingenuous as fuck,
I knew what I was getting into. I knew I was in a bad situation. I knew it was a show I didn't want to do. And then my stupid super agent, who I do love to death, and he's no longer with us, and
he is
did
dead.
right by me.
Lucky
and my
enough, Opie
family.
loves him to death, and by God, he is dead.
Can't collect that 10% anymore. I love him.
Here's where Opie gets caught in his own history as well. Whereas Opie will take credit for all the comedians that were in there, for handpicking not just Anthony and Jim Norton, but the comedians they had on. Like, the whole foundation of the show in Opie's mind was Opie. Opie says he was a big part of inventing Whip 'Em Out Wednesdays. Like, all the stuff you remember of Opie and Anthony is Opie, in Opie's recollection of it. And now he's like, this was just a show I didn't want to do, man. That's like me saying that about this show. Like, he puts cartoons up, and I never know. Like, he was a true monster. HACKRIDE wasn't the monster. It was the man behind him.
Very nice man.
In general, he played into my weakness. A kid from Long Island that grew up with barely anything. It's like, oh, you're about to become a millionaire. Can't you figure out how to deal with this? No one gets this opportunity.
Yeah, Opie, just give us 14 years. Can you hold out? All right, fine. I'll just sit idly by for the next 14 years and play Candy Crush on my phone.
Yes. His cells have recycled twice in that time. He's a completely different person twice.
2000. But you know what? A lot of us have things that happen to us in our lives, right? And then you can't wish for a different outcome, really, because then your whole life becomes different. And this is kind of hard to really.
Oh, I didn't think we were having
juggle.
a real discussion. I didn't think we were in the Matrix. He's like, do we want to go back to that time or no? Opie's having like a real discussion. He's like, well, I guess if I went back there, then I wouldn't have met my wife. I wouldn't have my kids. You know what? God damn it. I have to say, I guess I would have done the Opie and Anthony. That's not what the conversation is. You're saying you went on this tangent about how you wanted to leave in 2000. And he's like, but then I remembered the butterfly effect existed. So I guess I can't have the conversation anymore.
But I truly believe if I would have left the Opie and Anthony show and followed my heart and not being a weak little kid from Long Island who grew up with no money, and here's the money they're gonna.
Mr. Cumia, are we allowed to shove a wiffle ball bat up a woman's pussy today? Would that be all right, Mr. Cumia? Opie was running the show. I don't get what he's like. He was this pimple-faced intern that was afraid of Anthony.
Rewriting history on the fly, 4 a.m. from my fucking $20 million apartment.
Back up the truck. It was hard to say no to that. So that's on me. Obviously, it's on me. But, then I think if I left in 2000, it wouldn't have led to me meeting my wife and having my two beautiful
He's actually
kids.
doing that. I forgot
So
he did
you can't. You
He's
can't.
actually saying, well, it's a tough discussion, actually, because I suppose my entire life would be different. No shit.
On one hand, I got my hate for Anthony. On the other, I have my beautiful wife and child.
You could do that with every decision. The shoes you put on that morning could have technically led to you not meeting your wife in some roundabout way.
If the wife hears that, not going to be happy about that reluctant acceptance of her existence in your life.
It's exhausting to hear. As an Opie and Anthony fan, it's still funny to me, but it is exhausting to hear him be like, I guess I could have went out on my. God damn, I was weak. It's like, no, you guys had a great show together, and you were the problem, Opie. Like, Anthony has personality flaws, sure. As a listener or a viewer, you can observe them. But Opie was the problem in terms of just the mood around the Opie and Anthony show. That's obvious. It was obvious to the listener then, and everyone from that show has reiterated that since. Anthony has no control over them now. Why are they still saying that, Opie? He's never examined. It's amazing to do all this self-reflection and talk about how you would do things different. And your behavior never once comes into it. Like that really is an art that Opie has mastered, where it's like, man, it's interesting. If I did everything different, I guess I just wouldn't be on the show. I certainly wouldn't change my behavior. I wouldn't reach out to Anthony more and try to repair that relationship. I guess I would have just left before it started. That would be the best way to go about it.
Yeah, I mean, we all know Anthony's racist, but goddamn, I didn't know he was this patient. He's a patient racist. How did he sit next to
He
Opie
certainly
for
is.
fucking
Like
so
that.
long?
It is. It's a flaw in a way of Anthony's as like a broadcaster. Like if we watched on Patreon a while back the Ron Bennington Colin Flaherty incident, and Anthony in that is like it's an insane fear of confrontation he has. So like from that perspective, you could say like, oh, Anthony should have. Opie seems to love confrontation. So like, why wasn't that more part of it? Like he's acting like Anthony ruled with this iron fist. If you can criticize Anthony for anything in this, it's that he was weak with Opie, that he didn't like take over the show, and Opie's just like, oh, this monster I had to deal with.
Wish for things if you have good things currently in your life, because everything would be different.
Everything would be different.
I guess that's true, Opie. Then why have the conversation?
All right, now.
Well, really, if you think about it, like John McCain might have been president. So like, I guess we have to think about it that way. Sure, fine, Opie. Maybe 9/11 wouldn't have happened if you stopped the show with Anthony.
Vice President Sarah Palin. Oh my God, we could have had that. All right, now to the Bill Burr one, I think is what you wanted.
Okay, all right. Yeah, so this is a famous feud, and I again think Opie is actually right here. It's just hard to hear from Opie, but I think he does kind of hit the nail on the head here.
And so did Kenny suck. Okay, so you're defending Anthony, I guess. Another thing Anthony took no responsibility for, like zero, John. You want the honesty. The only reason you don't like Bill Burr or Club Soda Kenny is because of Anthony and what happened with Anthony. Because Anthony couldn't believe that Bill Burr wouldn't want to talk to him after Anthony went after his effing wife and possibly the rest of his family.
Why can't he curse? Why does he say effing?
I don't know. It's very bizarre.
Yeah.
I don't know, because he's on Facebook too.
Say fuck, Opie. You can say fuck here.
Maybe it's an old habit.
But he was on XM for
that's
10
true.
years. Yeah.
So all of a sudden, Bill, I guess Anthony walked in. Bill was already established there. Anthony walks in and goes right up to Bill Burr, knowing all the crappy stuff he said about Bill Burr's wife. So Bill's basically, I don't want to talk to you. And then Anthony's insisting because he doesn't understand, because he doesn't take responsibility for anything. And then all of a sudden, Kenny bounces his ass. And then
this is hilarious to me. So if you don't know that story, Opie pretty much lays it out right, where Anthony and Bill, they originally had this meeting where Bill Burr was like, I can't be associated with you professionally anymore because of like a lot of the stuff that Anthony says. Then Anthony went on and, said some racially charged things about Burr's wife and made a lot of comments like that. So then when they run into each other, Burr's like, you talked about my wife. I'm not going to be fucking friends with you. And Club Soda Kenny kicked Anthony out of the Comedy Cellar, if I remember correctly. Opie is correct. That's all Anthony's fault. Like Anthony burned that relationship down because of something ultimately probably kind of petty. What's interesting to me about it, and the reason we're playing the clip, is Opie's indignance about it. When on the show, if you remember, the guy who would always go above and beyond when it comes to trashing someone, like get really nasty with a person, it was always Opie. So it's hilarious to now hear him be like, "What, is there no civility, Mr. Cumia? Has chivalry been lost? What are we doing here, Anthony? There's a time and place." When Opie was like the shock jock, he had no funny bone. So he just resorted to saying like the craziest thing or hanging up on someone or stomping on their cake. Like, that was Opie. So it's wild to hear him be like, can't you take responsibility for anything, Anthony? When it comes down to it, like, Opie has said way harsher things about people over the last 20 years than Anthony. It's not even close.
And then Anthony is just outraged. I can't believe I was treated this way. Why do you think you were treated that way? You took horrible shots at his wife.
Yes.
Why would he ever want to talk to you again?
Right.
So then,
why do you think no one from the Opie and Anthony show talks to you, Opie?
Math is hard.
Have you considered, Opie, you're absolutely right about Anthony. Why would Bill Burr talk to him at this point? Why would E-Rock or Sam or any of these people talk to you? Do you ever think about that, Opie? It's weird that never pops in your head.
No, never gets that reflection back at him in a pool and go,
I am also a person.
Yes. No.
I forgot that the same rules apply to me.
No, he just thinks he's Opie. Like he has a nickname for himself, and that's who he is.
Yeah.
Of course, you know, you got a lot of people that are fans of Anthony. Yeah, look, there are some of you're normal people and you find him entertaining and all that. That's more than fine. But then there's also a whole bunch of cocks out there. And instead of going, you know what, I really like
Kumia Cox, huh? Kumia Cox.
this Anthony,
Team
but
Chad.
I think he's wrong about this one. I think all the shots he took at Bill Burr's wife might have pissed Bill to the point where he really doesn't want anything to do with Anthony anymore. So I can't go with this.
That's a really good
one.
point, Anthony. I mean, Opie, that's a really good point. No one has said Anthony could be wrong about something in the last. May I introduce to you Porcelain and Beige Frequency, who have made documentaries about this man. Red Bar, like plenty of people have talked about how wrong Anthony can be. That's what's hilarious about Opie is he's like, oh, you guys don't like me. It must be because you're Anthony sycophants. It's like, no, both of you guys can be made fun of. Check out the Opie and Anthony subreddit. Sometimes it doesn't exist anymore, but at the end, they were actually celebrating Opie and trashing Anthony and calling him a pedophile. So yeah, people will say that Anthony could be wrong here and there.
I like how he gets more wind up. He gets more like nasally and high voicey. You know, he just gets higher and higher and higher.
By the way, this is a subject he's sick of talking about.
Yes.
Pissed Bill to the point where he really doesn't want anything to do with Anthony anymore. So I can't go with this one. You're dishonest, John. You're really dishonest. I gotta be honest with you. I guarantee when Bill Burr was coming in on our show and just crushing day in and day out, you loved him. You absolutely loved him. But then, like, you listen to Anthony and you're taking his side on something where Anthony is obviously so wrong about.
I like that he's like mad at the guy commenting. He's like, you're being dishonest. Like John has done.
John.
Fuck you, John. Like John is probably maybe John's an asshole. I don't know who John is, but my guess is John did like Bill Burr when he was on the Opie and Anthony show, and he's like, it's such a fucking shame that Burr is like that now. Like that he just kind of disowned Anthony instead of having a conversation with him. He knows the type of humor that Anthony does. Like they could have had a conversation, let bygones be bygones, and hashed it out. And Opie's like, oh, you're gonna believe that horse shit, John? You piece of shit. You're going to believe there could have been a solution to this? That two grown men could have had a conversation instead of hating each other for some weird reason? Fuck you, John. Yeah. Like, he built a brand with a guy, Opie. He built a brand with Anthony. And yet he talks to his fans like, if you like Anthony, you are a scumbag. It's like, well, most of the people, you talked about how talented Anthony is. Most of the people that listen to you are going to be fans of him as well.
He is obviously so wrong about. God, I hate the dishonesty. It's just almost sad.
It's almost sad.
If you're not an Opie fan, you're being dishonest. That's the only possibility.
The next chat on the screen was Opie, shit in a box and send it to John Melendez. So this is what he's doing.
Oh, you're one of these Anthony fans? You're one of these haters? No, he's on the internet. I'm sure you can find 15 of those in my chat right now.
All right, up next is Nicky Norton.
So this is weird out of nowhere, where like he just wants to shit on Jimmy. And this is, by the way, these clips are from Opie's channel. I didn't go find them in the middle of his show. He said, these are the nuggets. If you want to know what the Opie radio show is all about, these are the little nuggets that you should expect to find. This is the best of the best, the cream of the crop. You want more of this, watch my full show. And it's just a guy who wants to take shots at Jimmy. So keep in mind, he just chastised poor John for going with the narrative and shitting on Anthony. This is someone who's shitting on Jim Norton's wife, oddly enough, after he was just like, you made fun of the guy's wife. What do you expect him to do? All right, let's make fun of Jim Norton's husband, whatever you want to call him. Sorry, wife, whatever. So this is about Nikki Norton, and it's Opie just shitting on Jim.
Are you scared of Jim Norton's man wife, not Jimmy Stewart? If I was going to be honest, I would say a little bit. A little bit.
Opie is adding nothing. By the way, shout out to Not Jimmy Stewart for programming. Every chat that we've had is not Jimmy Stewart, and they're all clips that Opie used. He's like, this is not Jimmy Stewart. He's my program director. This guy's good.
Yeah, him and that fucking John. The only two people that could
piece of shit John. Let's see what Opie adds here.
A little bit. She's huge, right? She's really tall, right? Doesn't she come from the land where all the strong men come from, where they just lift fucking truck tires and throw it over a mountain? Doesn't she come from there?
Norway? Is that
So
I would.
I think, yeah.
Okay.
Norwegians have truck tires?
All right.
He's thinking strongest man competition, I think, is that.
Okay, gotcha.
Not Jimmy Stewart. I don't know. You're sort of a hater, but you also give me good stuff. So, if I was going to be honest today, I would say a little bit. A little bit. A little bit. I'm not scared of Jimmy. God, no. I used to be in the same gym as Jim Norton, and he would work out. It was hilarious to watch. He would try boxing and stuff, and I can't even imitate how he would throw punches. It was.
I always come back to boxing with these assholes.
I don't know.
Whether it's John or Chad or Opie or Bob Levy, any of these people, ERIN. For some reason, it all comes back to how well a man boxes. That makes it. That's the mark of a man. Apparently, it's a weird argument for podcasters to be. I get other than Rogan. Who among us are tough? Are podcasters? Is this a tough business that we're in, where we should all be able to fight each other? It's very strange that it comes to that constantly.
Oh, we had to wrestle for half an hour before the show just to see who's going to lead the show today. That's how podcasts work, right?
What rumors is Opie dispelling here? Where we're like, Jim Norton, now that's a man. That's a guy you don't want to fuck with. He's really tough. What barriers is Opie smashing down here?
How he would throw punches. It was hilarious. It was hilarious. I was like, you ain't hurting anybody. You can't even punch through styrofoam, my man. You can't punch through styrofoam. All right. But you said it's all saying his man wife. Yeah, a little bit.
Oh, good. Well, not Jimmy Stewart has given us the green light. So.
All right, and that is all for Opie.
Isn't it great though to hear Opie be like, Anthony, take some responsibility for the love of God. You trashed the man's wife. How could you do such a thing? Why don't you own up to it? Be a man and say it's your fault for going after Bill Burr. Oh, yeah, Jim Norton's gay? No, totally. Look at the beast he's married to. It's the same episode.
Yes. He's got you on the wiener technicality, though, so I think that's where he gets you.
That's fair, yeah.
Electra.
Yeah, the Opster is up to his old trick, so it's good. He has replaced Stuttering John in a way.
There's a vacuum, so they're all filling it with their own retardedness.
Yeah.
Electra, you ready to read just a few super chats, and then we're gonna get to the goal?
Yeah, I think we missed a couple.
Oh God. Well, make up for it, Electra.
I know. I feel so bad. Let me find it.
Take your time. We're not busy.
I know.
While she's finding that, Rockerby 2002, $5. Opie definitely benefited from Anthony's bigotry. Just look at the badass view of Manhattan. Exactly.
You think so? It might be possible.
Yeah. Icon Buckets, $2. Kumia tried to pork a 15-year-old. Self-cutting girl.
Hey, no one ever trashes Anthony. Why is that?
I know. He's like a saint walking the earth. EFS, $19.99. Heyo, thank you so much.
Thank you, buddy.
I never get to catch your show live for the grift. I appreciate the content you put out, especially the Martin Mole, why are you laughing? One of my favorite scenes was with him as the Pop-Tart argument before the gay wedding on Roseanne.
Yes, oddly fitting. Do you think Roseanne rapped off stage? That was her true. She was like Donald Glover when he was on Community. Roseanne was always writing her raps when they weren't working.
Where did my rap books go? Who moved those? John Goodman? Where's my rap books? Here we go. This one from Dang. Oh, you found it?
Oh, yeah, I found it. Andrew Kelso, $5. He pointed out in chat that we missed it, so of course I got to read it.
Sorry about that.
Yeah, sorry I'm late. OJ just saved me from a burning orphanage and said, "Don't thank me, just go watch Blind Mike now." But thank you, OJ.
Thank you, OJ.
And one more. Rocco Orbe 2002. I have a hard time with that one. $5. Roseanne is still cringe, but I prefer her over that crazy fat lady, Rosie O'Donnell.
I'd like to see Rosie rap.
That's a boxing match we need.
I think just a rap battle.
We'll do
8
the
Mile
rap
style.
battle both at the same time. Dang Lizard, I think we got here. We go.
Talking about boxing, will you accept OJ's boxing challenge? We blindfold you both, and you put on suits with bells on them.
That's what I could tell. I think he was trying to be a good sport about it when he tweeted, I challenge him to a... I thought that was funny.
And the final one here before we get to the next
Maga Ray
segment.
DeVito. What were you saying?
Oh, go ahead.
Maga Ray DeVito, $4.99. Mike, will you be able to stream from Blind Land after deported? What?
Sure.
Maga Ray DeVito's deporting Mike? What?
Yes.
What?
Yes is my answer.
Maybe
All
it's
right.
the beard. You're a
Oh,
caveman-y today.
that's a good point. Yeah. I'm shaving it this week. Don't worry.
I don't know. What do you think, Electra? More masculine? Do you like it like that? What are your thoughts?
I like it a little bit tighter, a little bit trimmed up. Yeah. Just keep
got
it
it, baby.
clean. Looks good, but
Hey,
still
same to you.
amazing. Yeah.
All right.
Oh, of course.
Just
All right.
carpet match
ways.
the drapes, Mike, is what she's asking.
Can we move on, please?
Are you shaving everywhere? Okay.
All right. So I mentioned this a few weeks ago. I think it was Craig that was on, but I said, you know what we got to do? I heard ERIN talk about the Dabbleverse and talk about how gay it is. Oh, it's so gay. Carl's so gay now. And yes, Carl's terribly gay, but we all know that. And I said I got to defend my guy here. I don't think Carl's the only gay one. I think it's very interesting to watch early ERIN talk about the Dabbleverse because now he has such negative things to say about. Oh, they're all so fucking gay there. They're all lame. They're not cool like me. Well, I decided to go back a couple years to when ERIN had Karl Hamburger, Heberger. I know that's not his real name. He had Karl on the show. And they discussed the Dabbleverse. Now, I expected this to be very contentious. I thought this would be all ERIN finger waving and say, "What? Don't you understand? You're doing gay things on the internet. Why are you doing that, Karl? It's terribly gay of you." By some chance, that's not what I found. It was a little different than I was expecting. So let's hear some of these two old pals kibitzing. And let's, as my guy Tukey always points out, they were best friends. Don't forget that about Karl. Him and ERIN, best buddies. And what you're about to hear will not dispel that.
They had a tandem bike. The first one here is
Yes.
called Timing.
Okay.
Karl, hello, sir.
Hey, what's happening, ERIN?
Oh, not too much. Just staying on way too long this morning because I wanted to talk to my good buddy Karl from Who Are These Podcasts. And hey,
I was going to say you're on like hour 7 right now. I feel bad for you.
we're going to be doing, we did this when, was it Gino or Bob Levy came on? We ended up booking a time with them that they could do. And we were like, well, I'm not going to cut the show off and then start up a new stream and then get that one going. We'll stay on through and then do it that way.
Hey,
But-
you picked this time, not me. So don't
No,
put
I
this on me here.
love that, by the way, where ERIN, this is how you know ERIN's a manipulator. Right out of the gate, he's like, I said, I guess we gotta get Karl on, so we gotta kind of work around the schedule. And Carl's like, What are you talking about? You told me when to come on. So my day was wide open. Aaron's like, fine, I guess. If the master needs this time, and Carl's like, no, you picked it. What are we doing here?
I'm just watching Carl's mind for the moment Mr. Piggy enters his head for the first time.
It is interesting, though. Aaron used to have Bob Levy on, Karl, all these Dabbleverse people. It's weird how gay. You know what? The Dabbleverse probably didn't exist yet. We'll have to get to some clips where Aaron likes the stuff they used to talk about, like when it was a political show that Karl did. Aaron will probably compliment him on that. So let's keep going.
Yeah, no, it was 100% I picked this time because I should have clarified. Yeah, when we did it with Gino, I was like, I think I kind of like that. We just get through everything that way. So for you, I just went, yeah, let's do the same time.
All right, buddy. All good.
Jesus, you two. Just start the fucking show.
He has a different tone in his voice when there's no goal at the end of the thing, you know? Like, this is a totally different Aaron.
It was weird. The goal didn't come up. It was strange. It was weird to watch Aaron do an hour of broadcasting. I don't think he told anyone to donate once. It was bizarre.
This one's called Into the Dabbleverse.
Oh, so this is going to be where Aaron chastises Karl and says, hey, you know, man, you're better than this. Why do you reduce yourself to talking about John and all this stuff? All right, this is what we've all been waiting for. Aaron talking about how much he hates the Dabbleverse. Let's let it rip.
Be all right. So I don't think we're going to be able to pull it off with Perry, but I don't know if you've ever seen Windy City Heat. It's one of my favorite comedies. It's so goddamn funny, and to have Perry on, I think will be a hoot. It was cool to see that he kind of got in on the Stuttering John stuff.
Well, so I don't know what's going on with that. I think people are just pretending to be stuttering.
Why is that cool? First of all, Perry Caravello. Cool. If you don't know Perry Caravello, these two have a fascinating discussion about Windy City Heat. And if you don't know Perry, he's a guy similar to John in that, like, he just exists so the chat can fuck with him. Like, I think he makes a living off of that, basically. So he's a similar character to some of these other lol cows that people have discovered. And Aaron's talking about how great that is. And he's like, oh, man, I love watching Perry Caravello almost as much as I love watching Stuttering John.
Stuttering John and fucking with him.
Yeah.
And, of course, he flies off the handle all the time. So I think that just kind of worked for him because I was a little confused about that.
All right, yeah. This is a Baggy Monster's just a gleam in his eye. Not even a thought in his mind yet.
He's like, it's so awesome, man, that you guys have created this thing where you just make fun of a guy on the internet. Meanwhile, now he's like, oh, it's so lame that you guys do that.
He's like, let me help you sharpen this sword. I'm sure it'll be great forever. Never turn on anyone.
I hate that you do that to John. Why do you do that? So mean of you.
Yeah, this one's actually called Aaron Hates John Talk.
Oh, yeah, no, that's what I found most in this is that Aaron, he's disgusted. When he had Karl on, I kind of felt bad for Karl because he just had him on to hammer the type of show Karl does, and I don't think that's right.
Active Prince says in the chat, this is Aaron, E-R-I-N, not Aaron, A-A-R-O-N.
I like that. Yeah, it's true. He is giddy. Like,
yeah.
Funny.
You know, it's funny to talk to like a Bob Levy who was around Stern for a long time and who obviously picked up a lot of stuff from working with Stern, like in broadcasting ability. And then to see someone like John who worked so close to Howard, and then to watch him he's like Opie. Like, you put him in there by himself and he's like a babe in the woods. He doesn't know what the hell to do.
This is weird. Aaron knows all the characters that they make fun of? That's very strange.
What is a blind mic?
I thought he thought it was so gay that we all did this stuff. But he's like, no, it's really interesting to watch Stuttering John. Almost as interesting as watching Opie. It's so weird that Aaron talked like this.
Yes.
And isn't that funny, Aaron? Because we've probably both had that scenario happen to us. We're like, oh, shit.
We're just two equals. We're two guys that talk about people making fun of themselves on the internet.
We're just two guys with wood paneling and both have wives, right? We both have wives right now. Right?
We're just a couple of straight guys. We're exactly the same.
Feel like hot tubbing, Karl? You want a hot tub, Karl? Come over here.
Some time now. Right. I'm not really prepared. And what do you do when that happens? You never show up unprepared again. You learn your lesson. Like, that sucked. I'm going to have shit to talk about. if anything, I'm guilty of too much prep. I prep for my show.
Oh, come on, Carl! Don't beat yourself up like that. Hey, listen, we're here to beat up on Erin. I hate to see you like that. If anything, what are my greatest flaws? I care too much. I work too goddamn hard.
It's not a way to beat back those gay rumors by saying you take too much prep either, Carl. Come on. Don't clip that, people.
I want to make sure that we're going to have interesting things to talk about and we're not just filling time. John comes on his show over and over again, and if the guest is 5 minutes late, he's got nothing to talk about. He starts scrolling through his Twitter feed, looking for something to talk about. It's so embarrassing.
Yeah, no matter what you think of Howard now, obviously, but he's the best to ever do it.
ERIN, E-R-I.
Is that Erin Imholt? It's weird. I expected to hear, when I heard Erin's voice, I thought it would go, yeah, Carl, I don't really give a shit about this topic. I didn't think it would go, oh, let's dive deeper. I'm fascinated by Stuttering John.
I haven't heard Rumble Rants in like 30 minutes. Who is this guy? Where's the Rumble Rant?
And you sat there for over a decade with him, and like to not be able to watch him, because there were probably numerous times where Howard, a guest, didn't show up or they were late, and Howard would move on like nothing was missed, and just John. It's how you know he never took it seriously.
I should have done. Hold on, I like Carl. He's like, we're just two guys connecting right now. You and I are the same. This will never change.
Forever.
But it is. Maybe I should have interspliced them the way that we did with the DSP clips, because how often now could you find clips of Erin being like, oh, it's so lame the way they talk about John. It's embarrassing when they talk about. And now he's like, if you watch him interview Carl, he's like, Carl, let me get a peek inside your brain. How did you come up with the genius move to make fun of Stuttering John? He's like, he's so into it here. And because like fans didn't give a shit about him talking about John, all of a sudden he's like, it's really gay what Carl and those guys do. I think it's so gay of them.
Yeah, I'm also starting to think that Carl might befriend people for future, fostering friendships for future ribbing. So, goddamn you, Carl! I'm gonna look at your happy text to be a little different from now on.
Let me get closer to this guy.
We find out all his secrets.
I can learn more about him.
Yes. Right. Yeah, actually, my buddy Drew Lane from the Drew and Mike show, he was getting in on the action a little bit, offering John money to take an IQ test against Anthony Cumia. And so John had to address.
Hey,
that was my idea.
God damn. How much money does John owe at people out there?
For IQ tests. That's a hilarious debt to have. Like, I know guys that are like in the hole X amount of dollars for like gambling, or like, oh yeah, I got I'm 20 G's in the hole on IQ test bets.
That's the greatest gambling thing I've ever.
Fuck, man. I really thought the Texans would cover in the second half last night. Oh, same. I've been led to believe I have a 165 IQ. So that's cost me a lot of money.
I couldn't solve the physics part. My IQ should be higher. It's fucking
the Drew and Mike show. He goes, I've never even heard of the Drew and Mike show. Meanwhile, they were the #1 show in Detroit. When Howard entered that market in the 90s, Howard talked about him every day for weeks. Like, are you paying attention to the show that you are?
Such a sucker. He's like, maybe he and I can be doing Who Are These Socials one day. Like he looked at Erin as he thought he had a friend here. And Erin just like one day was like, no, what you talk about is gay. I don't even like it anymore.
I'm stuck on the last thing. I'm at bankruptcy court with Stuttering John, and the judge is reading, what are these IQ test losses? 10,000 to Blind Mike, 10,000 to Anthony Cumia. Who are these? What are these?
It says here, Blind Mike is stupid. $20,000. What does that mean?
You're going to want to keep that one.
The call screener of?
Yeah.
To say that you don't know who they are is actually more of an indictment on you, that you're not even paying attention on the show, because Howard knows who the fucking Drew and Mike show is.
So you guys are doing it. Shuli's doing it. Anthony's doing it. I think that's so cool because Uncle Reek.
Wait. Go back. I misheard. It sounded like he said that's so cool. Obviously, he said it's so gay of you. So he's listing off all these people: Karl, Shuli, Anthony. And again, I thought I heard something, but obviously I misheard it. What he's about to say is, it's so dumb of you guys to do that. I think it's really horse shit that you guys talk about John all day. I think it's really lame.
On the show, because Howard knows who the fucking Drew and Mike show is.
So you guys are doing it. Shuli's doing it. Anthony's doing it. I think that's so cool because like Uncle Rico and Who Are These Podcasts? Like Who Are These Podcasts is like the original. It's the one that got the ball rolling on everything. And then Uncle Rico kind of occupies that space of like guys who knew John personally.
You need all
and, like,
these layers. What you need, actually, it's weird that because one day I won't think this, but I'm not going to let that affect my interview with Karl. I think it's great that there are so many shows talking about John. I think there actually needs to be more John coverage.
He was apparently writing the almanac of the early Dabbleverse. Let me get all these facts straight.
You know, a lot of people think Shuli stole your bit. What I think is we can never be satiated with all the John coverage. I think it's really great. Cut to now him being like, it's stupid. I think it's stupid and gay that they talk about John.
He did a 180.
These personal
he flip-flopped, Mike. He flip-flopped.
interactions. And like when you watch Chad, he'll like try the divide and conquer thing with Uncle Rico and Who Are These Podcasts and me and Gino and all this other stuff.
No
So
one
to watch
will
you
ever
guys
divide us, Karl. No. That's one thing that'll never work. Pitting you and me against each other.
kind of come together and deal him out is, I don't know. I thought that was kind of cool.
Everything's so cool. This is cool.
Everything's
Aaron.
awesome. Man.
Cool, Aaron, baby.
Everything you guys are doing is so cool. I love all you guys talk about John all the time. What I really love is that you'll never make fun of me. There's just so much stuff I love about you guys.
And the fact that I kind of look like a sprocket from Saturday Night Live. He looks like a sprocket. All right, this next one is called Teen Titans.
Oh, this is a very fun nugget for fans of the Kirk Minahan show. I couldn't, but my jaw dropped when he said this. But shout out to Justin Trudell. But this is how Aaron viewed himself in the grand scheme of the Dabbleverse. Which, hold on, let me predict. He's talking about where he is. So he's saying like, you know, like if the Avengers, Karl would be, I don't know, Tony Stark, I guess. So Aaron is probably like, I'm a guy who walks out of the movie theater because I don't care for this, right? I assume that's where he has himself, but it might be a little different.
Let's go. So John created, the Uncle Rico show.
Yeah.
Obviously, but also, I mean, the whole Dabbleverse.
Yeah, the whole thing.
I consider you a part of the Dabbleverse at this point.
I am. I'm like one of those. I'm like one of the Teen Titans of the Dabbleverse. I'm like kind of the outside. I'm like Nightwing. You know, I'm not.
Right.
I'm not Batman.
He's a guy that wants to be in more. He's like, well, Karl, I am but a humble servant to you.
Teenage boy. What?
Teen Titans. Hopefully Aaron's not doing what Justin did to them. But it really is great that he's like, oh, Karl, that's too much. Like sometimes like if you compliment me, I'm like, all right, Casey, what are we doing? That's what Aaron's doing here, where he's like, hey, please, come on, save that for off air. I don't need my ego inflated on air. Don't put me in such high regard as being involved in the Dabbleverse. And now he talks about how much he hates. It is great to watch old Aaron because he's a different guy. It's weird.
Yeah.
Man, I'm not Superman. I'm not Cyborg or anything. I'm one of the Teen Titans over there.
But when you make a cameo, when you make an appearance in the Dabbleverse, you're not out of place.
Right? They go, oh, hey, look, it's
Aaron, yeah.
Look, it's
Like,
Nightwing.
Karl, hey,
oh.
buddy, don't talk yourself down.
Take the noose off. Yes. Step down from the chair, Aaron. You'll be okay, Teen Titan.
Okay.
Exactly.
Now get the fuck out of here, Nightwing. It's Batman's turn. Nice to see you.
He viewed Karl as Batman.
Right. He's kind of asking for it too. He's like, "Oh, I'm just Nightwing. I could never be Bat. Maybe I could be Bat. No, I could never be Bat." He's asking for it.
Bruce, please, enough. I could never be the Dark Knight myself.
No.
You talk about so many different internet characters on your show. I don't know how you keep up with all of it. So I'm assuming the people who are watching this know what we're talking about because I'm kind of like,
Karl's way off. I watch Aaron's show now, and I hear how gay it is. to be fixated on all these internet characters. So it's got to be. It was pretty embarrassing for Karl, I'm sure. And keep in mind, this interview was years ago. I'm sure Karl got over the sting that Erin's about to serve him. But clearly, Erin's about to go, what are you talking about? I don't talk about internet characters. That's gay. Why would I do that?
Assuming the people who are watching this know what we're talking about, because I'm kind of like going deep with everything.
No,
here.
it's fine.
Okay.
Yeah. No, they know all the players. Yeah.
Oh no, we share ideas, you and I. Erin's like, please, Karl. This is a community. You take a little bit from me, I take a little bit from you, but we all make up the Dabbleverse. I may merely be the Teen Titans, which are Teen Titans part of like DCU. What world is that he's living in?
I don't know.
I thought it was a kids' cartoon.
It's like Cartoon Network.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't think the Teen Titans apply to Marvel or DCU.
He's just trying to say I'm a small potato in this world of giant potatoes. I can never be a big potato
Yes.
covered all day by Karl on a show called Piggy.
I'm sorry to use such a cliche analogy, but you are Batman and I am the Teen Titans. As everyone probably already thought that about you and I. But
this next one's called Two Buds.
It makes me sad, but I'm glad Karl experienced this. These are just two friends riffing right here.
So yeah, but yeah, you mentioned that we have all these people we follow now, and I just wanted to let you know about the last one. I didn't know you had her on again. I don't want anyone to share in anything I have, because Lord knows I can fly off the handle from time to time.
Erin, the number of shows that you and I both critique and review on a regular basis, there's going to be times when I'm saying shit about someone that you like.
These are just two equals.
So crazy.
Listen, Erin, we share. And Erin's like, well, Karl, I really appreciate that. That's great. Like, here's the thing. If Karl and I ever get to, maybe Karl will take this wrong and we'll have some epic feud and we hate each other. But you're not going to hear me all of a sudden go, and I never thought his show was good. I thought it was a stupid idea. I always hated when he would make fun of Stuttering John, because that would be insane for me to say. It doesn't make any sense because I also do it. What we're watching here, and the reason I thought this was interesting to watch, is you're watching two guys just bond over having so much in common. And then one day, Karl was like, oh, a lot of the stuff Erin does is pretty douchey. And Erin was like, it's okay, I never even liked him, and I hated everything he did. So no skin off my nose. I always thought he was very lame.
Yes, no tape exists out there of me brown-nosing and washing those balls.
Meanwhile, this is them holding hands and skipping through Minnesota.
Karl is exactly the same years later. This guy is 180 degrees different. It's
they could have flown from Rochester to Minnesota on the energy they were getting from one another.
Think of how many things happened between this moment and today that we know about Erin. Just drugs, hot tubs, wives, crazy shit, lawsuits.
It's fine. It's
Absolutely.
all good.
Well,
I treat life like a roast. I honestly, I don't take anything that seriously.
Okay,
I really don't care.
Inside. We're here to make fun of Erin here, Karl. Stop queuing me up. Hey, guys, I just fly by the seat of my pants. I treat life like a I like the idea like Karl is Jeff Ross out in the wild.
When you're getting gassed up by happy, cool steel toe, it's hard. You just want to go in on yourself.
Karl's walking into bars in Rochester, and everyone's like, uh-oh, we know what's coming from this guy. We're about to get roasted.
Like Ethan and Ralph try to get into real beefs with me and tell me he knows where I live. I'm like, what are you talking about? We're on the internet making jokes. What do you mean? Who cares? Who gives a shit?
I'm jealous because I'd like to spend a little more time on Ethan, but like,
jealous of you.
Jealous. You can just handle it that way, which I pretty soon will show you that I cannot handle it this way.
Oh, I just wish I had more time to be more like Karl. Damn it. Curse you, hours in a day. Why do you exist? Without you, I could be more like Karl, my best friend.
it's so much harder to find stuff on him. Maybe you've got some source material, but it's a little harder because he's not on YouTube. So I got to dig a little deeper, and I'm lazy. But
come on.
All right.
Erin, you're not lazy. You're a fantastic broad. Don't beat yourself up like that.
I mean, he's so honest about himself here, about who he will future become, and not do a real show or care about, and just be lazy and take your money. Aaron,
He's giddy to have Karl on, and like I had Karl on before I really interacted with him. Like that was our first interaction. Was I had him as a guest on this show, and I'm sure you could find he and I having similar conversations. The difference is years later, I don't now go, he's really gay. Everything he does is gay. I hate that guy for how gay he is. I love him for how gay he is.
Exactly.
There's other video platforms than YouTube.
I know, and I'll get
That's the only one you
there.
know about.
I started a.
Carl starts to smell a little bit of a locale. He's
Karl, you son of a bitch! You invented Rumble Rants. That's because of Karl. I didn't know that.
You're to blame, Karl. And to thank. Thank you so much.
Rumble account. I just have to figure out how to set the whole thing up. I'll get there.
It's fine. It's fine.
No, the reason we started branching out into so many different people, though, is because like you and Shuli, like you had the John shit covered. And we were like, all right.
You guys do a masterful job. But well, here's what Aaron's saying is, you guys do such a fantastic job talking about Stuttering John. Yet I still want to emulate you so desperately that I found other people to goof on the same way. And just a couple years later, he's like, oh, I hate how gay it is. Why is it so gay what they do?
Why do we make fun of each other online? This should be a place for cool things.
Yeah, he's like, oh my God, I can't believe people who get their kicks off of making fun of lol cows on the internet. It's so despicable. I had to go back 2 years to find this. It's not that long ago.
No.
Let's find some other people. And God sent me an angel named Chad Zumach, who, like, while everyone else was talking about John, we kind of...
God sent him an angel. Or did Karl start talking about him? I can't remember the order of operations, but essentially Aaron is saying he views Karl as God. I think that's what we can surmise from that.
Yes. Who's on your bench, Karl? Can I cover any of these people on your bench you're not covering right now? Because they're way better than anyone I'd choose.
I did it with Ojeda. I also wouldn't go, here's the thing, is I wouldn't go the direction of being like, everything Karl's ever talked about is so gay. I also wouldn't go the direction of being like, Karl, without you, I wouldn't know who Richard Ojeda was, and therefore, you are a god. Like, Aaron doesn't believe anything he's ever saying. He's just so extreme, one direction or the other.
Yes.
Snuck in. It was kind of after you and Anthony had gone after him like a year prior for the credit card stuff, so the Chad stuff had cooled down. We saw the video of Chad talking about how he was going to jump in on John stuff. And I sniffed this guy out immediately, as everyone else probably did.
The irony here that now Chad is, a lot of people still view Chad as a locale, but he is clearly has more numbers, more people.
Oh, he bested Aaron for sure.
Yes. He got over $800 in super chats before his last show.
Well,
so yes, Aaron would kill for this.
Listen to what Aaron's actually saying here is, and again, I know I'm fixated on this and I keep repeating it, but it's the reason we're doing this segment, is that Aaron is now like, oh, I hate the Dabbleverse and everything they stand for. Just making fun of a guy. But what you're hearing him say to Karl here is, I found my Stuttering John. Now I can do what you guys do. Like, he is so influenced by Karl that he's literally telling Karl, I wanted to do your show so badly that I made Chad Zumach my Stuttering John. And now only 2 years later, he's like, oh, I can't believe those guys do that. It's so, it's despicable what they do.
Now he's everyone's Stuttering John. Hey, right. Aaron, thank you.
That's the other, by the way, the other like hypocrisy and all this, that you could take this angle, is play it all, and every time he's like, oh my God, Karl and Patrick Melton and all these people, they center their show around me. I guess they make their show. While we're listening to Aaron be like, so I made my entire show focus around Chad Zumach.
The Z-Man.
It's like, were you thanking Chad back then, Aaron?
Let me tell you about the Mud Shark.
Guy's a clout-chasing phony. And then
that was the turning point for me, too.
Yeah, the more people started sending...
Still a hot war, by the way, between Karl and Chad. That shit is super hot.
That's true, yeah.
Sending us more shit. We were like, oh, this guy's fun. Then it started bothering him. Even though, I should say, it doesn't bother him. But it started to seem like he cared a little bit. And then we were like, and you know this feeling doing the kind of show you do. That's the moment where you feel your teeth sink in and you're like, oh, I don't have to let go now. This is great.
Oh, really, Aaron? That's so weird. Because when people do it to you, what's the word I'm looking for? Oh, it's gay. It's terribly gay. It's remarkably gay when people do it to Aaron. Yet he's describing what all these shows are and how badly he wanted to be one of them. Like, Aaron, you could have just kept doing it, but you were mad that the people that like these shows also made fun of you. Like, they were hounding Karl for a year. You got to do a Steel Toe episode. I think they did one without him. I think it was like Doug and Bryan Johnson or something. Because Karl was getting like such high demand, and he was like, I don't know, I kind of like the guy. Let someone else give it a try. And Aaron's like, oh my God, how I just want to do a show like that. And he's figuring it out. He sucked at it. And now because it would be like if I was like, the NBA is really gay. I hate how gay the NBA is because I can't play in it. That's the main reason I think the NBA is gay, is they won't let me participate.
That would be amazing. NBA, let him play. This one's called Doesn't Get It.
Okay, I don't remember what this is, but I have a
the
feeling.
irony.
I don't remember what it is. I have a feeling it's going to be Aaron hitting the nail on the head. I'm sure.
That's all right.
Right. Chad doesn't have that, like, let's make fun of the guy. You know what it is, and not to get too psychological here, but like, he talks about how he was the cool kid in high school. It really is. He either has kiss a guy's ass like Kevin Brennan, or he has let's shove the nerd in the locker and be like high school bully mean. And the rest of us are like, no, dude, see, we're past that part in life. We just kind of want to tell jokes and make our friends laugh as we use this person as the target. That's it.
Whoa, Aaron.
Cool Aaron.
But okay, so I guess when we do it, it's different, right? We're being too mean. Is that his argument?
Yes, we have hair on the corners of our head, so it's different.
Why when Aaron makes fun of someone, it's like they should understand that we're just trying to have fun and laugh at a guy, and they can handle it normal. However you handle it is fine, but don't get so angry about it. And I know I'm doing Patrick Melton's Aaron. I can't help it anymore. But like, he's like, why don't they understand? We're just having a piss, you know? We're just having a little fun with these people. And now Aaron's like, oh my God, they're seething. They're blind with rage. They hate me so much. It's like, no, use your own rules, Aaron, that you used just a couple years ago.
Next week, you're going to bring, or 2 weeks, you're going to bring a clip where Aaron is just beating this guy up for setting a goal and trying to get money. Because that's like what he's doing.
I can't believe this guy had his wife on the show and it didn't work out well. Oh, my God, he got divorced. What a loser he is for getting divorced. And then I have to go back and find, I'm like, Aaron, remember you had a wife. Here she is. I have to play those clips.
He doesn't
get it. Who said this? Is this?
Yeah. Tell me if you guys can remember painting Karl in this light. Tell me if you can remember anyone doing that.
It was really tragic, but look at you. People surreptitiously recording Chad and sending it into you. Are you becoming a little Karl Red Bar over here?
Oh,
What's
no,
going
God,
on?
no, please.
We Karl Red Bar? What is this? What's the bit called? The Spy? Oh, God, I can't remember what the fucking segment's called. The Spy and are we at Spy and the Pry with Karl?
Somebody said, I forgot who said this, but I thought it was perfect, that Red Bar is the evil Karl from Who Are These Podcasts.
Yeah, I think
it was
that's
me, you
pretty
dickhead. I looked at it, I said it like a week earlier. Then he did this interview. He heard me say that line, and he brought it on Aaron's show, and is like, yeah, some freak said this. I'll never do a show with that guy. But instead of he stole my line, and he workshopped it on Aaron.
These old videos are finding out a lot of things. This one's called Hitting Its Stride.
Yeah. Well, I cut out the part. He's like, some disabled loser said this to me today. I can't think of his name. And then I cut it, but like right after that, he's like, Aaron, what do you know about social media? You interested in possibly doing a show together? You seem like a fun guy to broadcast with.
Aaron, tell me what you think of jingles. What are your thoughts on jingles? You like lots of them? I like lots of them.
It was funny because he's like, I just can't remember what freak said this to me. And I'm like, it was me. I said that.
Hitting Its Stride.
All right, so this is interesting because I guess it's no longer in stride. The walk is out of sync, but this is what the Dabbleverse was at that time in Aaron's mind.
Oh man, so so Chad, you got John, you got all these new people you're adding in. Who are these podcasts really seems to have been hitting its stride the last couple of years here because you get the best of both worlds.
It's a multi-year long stride. Whereas, oh man, this is just fantastic what you guys are doing. In 2 years, it'll be very gay. But right now, oh, mwah, it is beautiful.
It's a marathon. That's not a stride. It's a sprint. You're doing a sprint.
Marathon, not a stride. I like that.
The new ones, and you always get to check on the old ones. So you guys, it kind of feels like you found that perfect balance.
It feels, Karl, forgive me if I'm overstating this. It feels like you do the perfect podcast. It feels like you have mastered podcasting, and I really don't see a world where I turn my back on that thought. I can't imagine an environment where all of a sudden I think you do a terrible podcast. I can't envision that world. It actually is perfect. You've done it, my friend.
He's sharpened that sword so sharp, and my belly is just sitting right here. Don't stab me. All right. Guys like us. It's the final one here.
Well, these are just two guys. You remember the John and Jeff show? Those were two guys, and so are these.
Dude, you know what it is? I just realized what this is. So you are on your way up. You know, you're building an audience.
Sure.
You're building.
Karl, I hope Karl understands that this was not meant to make fun of him, but there were some clips I couldn't avoid it, where he's like, Aaron, my man, you and me are going to be counting our Spotify money soon enough.
Well, this is a man that wears a Buffalo Bills jersey, so he's used to making bold predictions and then often being disappointed. Hey,
Aaron, here we sit, two of the greats.
Like a before and after picture from a hair club.
So you are on your way up. You know, you're building an audience.
Sure.
You're building followers. The show is growing.
Even
You're
Aaron
doing
didn't believe
great.
Aaron was like, I
point.
guess.
Wait, up? What are you talking about?
Things. Obviously, WATP is on its way up. We're still growing and building an audience. Chad has been on the downside of his career since he got fired from the radio show in Cleveland.
Yeah.
And that's why he lashes out at all of us so much, because he's so butthurt.
Karl, I agree with you about Chad. I really liked what you said about me being on the way up, though. Can we focus more on that, please? I really enjoyed that.
Yeah, what percentage would you say I'm up?
Do you think right now my goal is 350. In 2 years, do you think I could knock that down to 330, perhaps?
Yeah. You think I'll ever meet a hot man lawyer?
Karl, I'm so on the way up that even if I met another couple in Minnesota, it wouldn't shatter my world that I currently live in.
Where should I keep my kids, Karl, while I'm dating this new wife? Tell me what to do, Karl. I need help.
Over the fact that these other shows are growing and he cannot find an audience. He can't get 100 people to support him on Patreon.
Yeah.
And I hate to use the word jealousy because I feel like that's a cop out, but Chad might be a bit jealous of guys like us.
Aaron, you and I are alike in every way.
Karl, we need to see your hot tub report for the last few years, because if you're like this guy.
Aaron, I tell you, my young friend, it's like looking in a mirror. we are just two peas, my man.
God damn, that guy. So please, more of that. Let's do some more history bits, because that's fun.
Well, so far we've found Aaron talking about DSP. And we've talked Dark Side Phil, and we've heard him talking about Karl in the Dabbleverse. And I dare say I found traces, but they're very minor, traces of hypocrisy. So if you guys have any more examples, like I said, if you have examples of him being like, what kind of freak would get into a foursome with another podcasting couple?
Who would ask for money on their show? That's crazy. Yes, anything like that would be amazing.
But yeah, I thought that was fun. It is like, obviously there's moments where, from Karl's perspective, it is funny. But like, Karl's kind of always been that guy. Like, I imagine he'll hear that segment and laugh, whereas Aaron will deny it existed. Like we talked about Howard Stern earlier. Aaron will be like, I've always thought the Dabbleverse was tremendously gay, and I was nice to Karl, I suppose. I was doing him a favor, but I just hate what their show does. And then we hear him like, Karl, how have you done it? How do you do it? How did you become such a master at this?
The balls are clean, sir. That's what he said. Electra, you ready to read final super chat so we can get out of here and watch some divisional football and then go over to Catch 22?
Good timing today, by the way, guys. We nailed it.
Yeah, we
Oh,
did.
yeah.
All right, here you go, Electra.
Joe from Virginia, 199. Good show today, boys. BMP for life. Hashtag. I
Yes,
said that backwards, but hashtag BMP for life.
Oh, thank you, buddy. I appreciate that.
Or 2 years from now when he's tearing us apart on his new show.
Oh, Joe, don't do that. Joe from Virginia. I never liked those guys.
MAGA Ray DeVito, 199. Do you want to hear Shuli Box NES Punch Out Tyson?
I'm sorry?
What? She read it right. NES, like the Nintendo. Do you want to hear Shuli box Nintendo's Punch Out Tyson?
Oh, so I'm guessing he did that, and it's like I could listen to it. Is that what he's saying?
Maybe. Get us the tape. We'll listen to everything.
Okay.
Electra will. Electra will listen to it and let us know. Sort of thing.
Great. MAGA Ray DeVito again, 199. Thoughts on Spider Alomar boxing Knight Melendez?
He doesn't know who Spider Alomar is. Do you know who Spider Alomar is, Mike?
I don't. Don't talk about me like I'm your dementia-ridden grandfather.
I just know which areas of the dabble.
Electra, he doesn't know who that is. Please, on to the next one.
If you knew who Spider Alomar was, we'd have a whole other guy.
I don't know who Spider Alomar is.
He's
UFC
Joey
fighter?
C's. No, he's Joey C's like little sidekick.
It sounds like fucking Cowboy Cerrone or something.
He actually sounds exactly like Beetlejuice from the Howard Stern show. Who, me?
Oh,
so he's a fucking character.
All right, shout out Spider.
He's very quiet, really. I come buckets, $2. Karl has an eye for talent, such as ERIN and Mike.
Yeah, I know. That is what I'm worried about. Where I'm like, oh no, am I next?
MAGA Ray DeVito, 199. Mike, please show us your Ruger.
No, I don't know what that is. I don't know the reference.
It's
Do you have a Ruger?
pistol, I think.
Oh. Yes, I do. Have one.
What kind of pistola do you have, Mike?
I don't feel like improvising with it. I don't have a gun. Okay. Leave me alone.
One more here. We'll get out.
Jimmy's Neglected Mother, $2. Great show today.
Thank you, buddy. I appreciate that.
Oh, thank you. Yes, thank you to all the great super chatters, those who purchased memberships and gifted memberships. Thank you so much.
Thank you, everyone. I appreciate all of you who support the show. Go support HACKRIDE and KC and DJ Electra next, right?
Yes, we're on right after the show, people. If you've fallen asleep, you're perfect. Just chat will go right over.
Leave it on in the background.
We love those people who fall asleep, man. They drive our numbers up.
Electra, how's your YouTube channel going? I haven't checked in a bit.
It's going all right.
You're still uploading like shorts and stuff?
Yeah, I am.
All right. Go follow DJ Electra Fry for all kinds of music news and things like that.
Yeah, and I did a show on Rumble and Kick last night. I'm going to maybe do some more music shows.
Nice. So check that out. Support Electra. Support Casey Day. They're doing Unboxing Eric tonight as well.
Absolutely.
And go to blindmike.net to support this program. We appreciate you guys doing that. It helps the show, helps more people find it, all that. Like, subscribe, all that good stuff. Very good shows where you can find Craig. And I guess that's it. Oh, no show next week. So just keep that in mind. And but there is a Why You Laughing. So we'll see you then. And then I'll talk to you guys live in a couple weeks.
Bye, everyone. Have a great day.
Bye-bye.
Peace.
Blind Mike ERIN!
I talk like this, it's silly. This is my punchline, is a boy. I think it's really